child within began to grow. A whispered voice said, "Take my hand, we'll build a world where love will stand." We gathered hearts like scattered leaves, a tapestry of dreams to weave. From broken wings to open skies, together we will learn to fly. Kaleidoscope of happiness, 1,000 colors we possess, transforming pain to something bright. We're butterflies in endless flight. The cocoons held the weight of fears, but now they're gone with all the years. We stitched the threads of laughter's tune and danced beneath the silver moon. Love to draw us near, no longer lost, no longer small. Together we can have it all. Kaleidoscope of happiness, 1,000 colors we possess, transforming pain to something bright. We're butterflies in endless flight.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is Saturday night, and we already got a house full of people. This is my good friend Olivia, and everybody in the chat, welcome. I know my Nightbot timed somebody out. My Nightbot does not like emojis, so just be
That Nightbot.
Yeah, just be careful, Nightbot. He doesn't like that. But welcome, Jarrett Talks. Welcome, RN to CEO. And welcome, New Horizons. Let me see. New Horizons Above and Beyond. I hope I got everybody some blue butterfly wings so that you can tap on everybody else and see their channels. Yes, Jarrett's going to be my guest on June 16th. Okay, I think we're good. All right. So on Saturday nights, I like to have a guest and I like to talk. And she doesn't know what I'm going to ask. I don't usually have like set questions or anything like that. I will tell you this. She does have a channel and she does have a book. This is her book, and her channel is The 7 Sacraments of Health. And this is her book. And if you have been around my channel at all, a couple of Wednesdays back, I started doing a little bit of each of these chapters. So I think we made it up to chapter 3. But first, I want you to introduce yourself. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about how you got started on YouTube. And my camera is being blurry, but you're not blurry. So go ahead, Miss Olivia.
Well, hi. Gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I've never done this. I just started, I think it was in 2021. No. I can't even remember. I started my channel Mostly because I had just left a job. I didn't have a lot going on, and I was recovering from COVID and having a real hard time with recovering. And so I just wanted to keep my life really like centered and slow and kind of just like also just have like a journal documentary of me at this phase in my life, partly for, you know, a way to communicate with my kids, um, and just for reference later. And when I first started it, I was just talking, and then I thought, well, gosh, I should really bring, my material that I've written into it, because I'm like talking about conscious aging while I can sort of also maybe market my book a little bit and try to like make that my brand, even though I really hate the idea of like branding. You know what I mean? Like it's what we are kind of expected to do now. It's kind of like gross, but it's kind of like if you want to like try to pitch your channel, I don't know, it's just part of what is.
Yeah.
So I thought, Seven Sacraments is a good brand, and I really do like that book was written after graduate school. Um, it was kind of inspired by going for a walk and coming home and being like, that was like a sacrament. Like this feels like a sacrament. I'd started doing it every day, and so it just, I decided to like go ahead and develop that whole concept as a little book. And it's a very, very small, little, easy to read and
Yeah,
follow book.
it is. It's very easy to read, and that's what I really liked about it. I wasn't sitting there going, "Okay, I have to stop and look up this word because I
Right.
don't know what she's talking about,"
Yeah.
you know. So it's very relatable and very easy, to read it and say, "Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense." But it's a beautiful book, and I appreciate you sending me it so much.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, and I appreciate everything you've done to help me get my channel out there. Like, honestly, you and I guess Source,
The
I think I
source.
connected through Source too to a lot of people, are
Yep.
such a hub in the wheel, of the networking. Because I think I had maybe 17 followers before I connected with you, and now I've got 130 something, and
Oh
not
wow,
huge, but
that's
I'm okay
great.
with it. I'm
Let
just
me
gonna
go
keep
and
it.
get your link too, and I'll put it in the chat, and then
Please
that way
connect with me.
anybody can. It's easier that way for them just to click on you. Hold on one second. Let's see. I should have you where I can find you easy. Well, I had been reading, and there you are. Okay, I had been reading a book before I found out about your book, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And so this is right, like aligning perfectly with where I'm headed, what I'm trying to do in my own life. So it really has been really good for me to, have this information. Hello, Body Illusion. Welcome. All right, y'all, I'm pinning
Hi.
her link there at the top of the chat. So if anybody, and y'all can switch over and go to her channel and watch it from over there. And that way
I
she'll get some
guess.
watch time out of it also. Okay.
Oh, okay. I have no idea. Is it streaming? Like,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
I should go on and see. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I'll flip over there real quick on my phone. Yes, ma'am. It is on there. See, look at my phone.
Whoa, Olivia! How are
All right.
Wow.
Pretty peaches
Maybe
over there on
maybe
that
I'll
side.
sign on and watch, because then maybe I can actually reply to people,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be looking down at my phone all the time. Um, because I can't figure it out on here. I am a dinosaur. I am the worst with stuff.
Oh, I don't know anything about any kind of tech stuff. I mean, I remember when we had the big, like 5.5 inch floppy disk. Remember those, you
Yep,
know?
yep,
So
yep.
I'm really
Yes, I
behind.
do. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, Stephanie, the WSFN channel, and she says she's watching on both our channels. Yay! And also, pre retirement days, comfort foods, and more is here. Thank you for coming. But I had picked up this book, and it's called Well Nourished, and it talks about the mindful practices to heal your relationship with food, feeding your whole self, and to end overeating. And what it does,
Tell
and
me that one.
I even, never even realized this, but you don't have just the physical body that needs nourishment.
Yes.
I think I don't even know how many there are in here, but there is so many different aspects of it, um, that if you don't feed your emotional side, your mental side, your, you know, social side, just like all the different parts of us.
Vectors of well-being.
Yeah. If any
Yeah.
of those areas are lacking or are needing some attention, you might actually think that you need to eat when it's really not food that your body requires.
Oh gosh. And
You know?
haven't we all done that? Been there, done that? Like totally, totally. Like emotional eating, or maybe it's a spiritual emptiness and we're
Yeah.
feeding that.
And
Yes.
so when I started
Um,
reading this, I was like, this makes a lot of sense because I've always had a struggle with weight, and I kind of grew up in a family that said, food was supposed to be, a party and enjoyed, and, you get it for a reward, and, whatever party you have to have all the food and all that. And I never really thought about that I wasn't nourishing the rest of my body. So then when I got your book, and I was like, boy, this is right there. You've got to take care of your whole self. And I think that's what a lot of us, especially people my age, that have spent our whole life working, taking care of kids, taking care of a household, and all of that. And then all of a sudden we're by ourselves and we don't have to work. And we're like, now what do we do?
oh, that's a whole other book that could be written too, isn't it? Like,
Yes.
um, yeah, my son just graduated from high school. So, and he's, the baby. And
Hmm.
so we're truly going to be moving into that empty nest. And I'm both like happy and excited, but, a little sad.
I know. I've been
Well, you know,
taking care of my
you know,
granddaughter for the past almost 4 years. And my daughter's a teacher, so I've had her whenever school's in. I have her all
that's
day,
full
Monday
time.
through Friday.
Yeah,
And they're off for the summer, and then she's going to go to pre-K in the fall. So I'm going to once again kind of be like a either unemployed or empty nester, however you want to look at it. I won't have that responsibility of having to take care of her. And I was kind of like at a crossroads, like, now what am I going to do? Because when you make a 4-year commitment, it's kind of like you put everything else on hold because, you've got to do that commitment. And now I'm like, I'm
absolutely.
going to volunteer though.
Yeah.
I'm going to volunteer at her school for sure. Um,
Oh, and that'll just maintain that bond,
yes,
that will.
yes.
So
Because
that's a wonderful idea.
with both her mom
Yeah,
and dad working, even though we'll be at the school where my daughter teaches, she'll be in her own class doing things. So when they have the different parties and, have different activities and things like that, she won't really have a parent who can go and participate. So I'll be filling in, doing that kind of thing. Although she thinks I'm going to go with her to school every day. She hasn't,
oh really?
yeah, she hasn't, doesn't have the concept of Granny's not going to be there every day. You have Live the Dream over on your side. Welcome, welcome.
That's me.
Oh, that's you. Okay, good.
Yeah. I it's my other account. That's where
Okay.
I give most of my political, like, that's where I engage in comments and stuff. So
Oh,
I
cool.
I let the beast out.
Oh my goodness. Okay, somebody
And
put
it's
in, oh, New Horizons put in for the weather for Boonville, and conditions are sunny with the temperature of 84, and the wind is blowing from the southwest at 9 miles per hour, and the current humidity is 44%. Not sure where Boonville is, but sounds like it's pretty nice weather there today.
it does. It sounds like Kentucky.
Here in South Georgia, it's 82 right now. And this morning when I went outside, it was actually cool. It wasn't like cold, but it wasn't humid hot yet. And I'm growing some things on my patio. And the last few days when I've gone out there, it's been like, oh gosh, it's already hot, you know. But
Oh, really? In the
this morning
mornings?
it was nice. I was like, oh, okay, this is nice, you know.
Yeah. I think we're expecting a seriously hot summer this year. That's what I've heard.
It's so humid here in the South that you just can't. Okay, she said it's
Oh,
central Missouri.
okay.
You just hardly can't. You know, you take a shower, you get dried off, you put on clean clothes, you get out to your car, and your car is like an oven. And until
Yeah.
your air conditioning cools your car off, by that time you're already sweating again, you know.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
I wish I had
Yeah.
one of
Humidity
those
is a whole different thing. We don't have that here. It's
yeah.
very rare to have humidity here. They call it the High Plains Desert out
Oh,
here. So it's mountains, but with desert conditions.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Hello, Elvin
beautiful.
Divers.
Um,
Welcome. Well, see, and I'm only like 30 miles to the Florida state line, but most of Florida has water on both sides, and so they get that ocean breeze. We have no water by us, so we have
okay.
no
So it's
breeze.
different.
It's very rare for us to have any kind of breeze at all. And
Duh.
like we
That's
were
rough.
saying earlier, we have a really short winter and then a pretty decent spring, but really almost 6 months of hot summer, and then a short little fall, then winter, then a little spring, and then back to 6 more months of summer. So it
Wow.
you have to deal with that heat pretty much, you know, at least half the year. But it's
Yeah,
better than being in Indiana where I used to get snowed in and have blizzards and all of
because
that mess.
you're near the lake, right?
I was by Lake Michigan. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah.
And it was fun as a kid, you know? But when I was an adult and I had a job and they didn't care what the
You have
weather
to
was
dig out
like,
your
they
car.
expected you to make it to work, then I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this. You know.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got married, I was like, "Phew, we're moving somewhere warmer." Wish I had thought about it a little bit more than where we ended up, but nobody thinks they're moving forever. You know what I'm saying? You think,
I
we'll
do
go here,
know.
we'll try this place. If we don't like it, we can move somewhere else.
And then you're stuck.
And then I've been here 35 plus years, so I've been here longer than I was in Indiana. So it's
Okay.
pretty much this is home now. My daughter was born here and raised here. My granddaughter born here. So hello, Life with Marlene. Welcome. So you said your youngest just is graduating. How many other children do you have?
I have a grown daughter.
A
She's
grown.
back in Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful human who just stands up for the right thing.
Oh, that's good.
She's very much an activist. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that makes you happy. I know when my daughter does things, I'm like, yes, she was listening. You know, it's like you don't never really know if your kids are gonna.
Oh, totally. We call our son our little Alex Keaton
Mm,
because you remember
yeah.
Family Ties?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Alex, the like little conservative kid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he has actually grown up to be very balanced himself. He's I would say still a little more conservative than we are, but uh, way too smart to be, pardon me, I hope I don't piss anyone off, but way too smart to be MAGA. Way too smart, just a smart kid.
Yeah.
But a little conservative. He's ROTC. He's hoping for an ROTC scholarship at school,
Oh,
and he
great.
got into University of Tennessee at
Great.
Chattanooga. So
Wow.
he's
So he's gonna
going
be,
south.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna be a little ways away from you.
Unless we follow him, which I don't think he wants us to do.
Well, see,
But
when my daughter, she was gonna go away to school, and then she met her now husband, and the school she was going to um, was actually in Washington D.C. And you had to live in the dorms the first year. After that first year, you could live off campus. But so
yeah,
if he went, he was going to have to be off campus living by himself, you know. And so she was like, no, I think I'll go to college right here and stay at home. And so she did. But I had told her, you know, I don't care where you go to school because I worked at Walmart at the time. And I said, I can get a transfer as long as the place has got a Walmart, you
and
know,
they're everywhere.
yeah, I
You
can
were
go
ready to
anywhere.
follow her, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I
Uh,
didn't mind her going off, you know, but I would want to be with at least within an hour of her, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But now we live
Especially
20
because he's
minutes apart.
so young.
But I'm
Yeah.
very respectful of their privacy. You know, I don't go to their house unless I'm invited and they know I'm coming, that kind of thing. And
Oh, yeah.
um, I let her do all the communicating. If she wants to call me about something or text me about something, you know, that's fine. But I don't sit there and bother her, you know. And a lot of times she'll be like, I didn't hear from you all weekend. And it's like, well, you didn't
Yeah,
call
he
me or
was
text
probably
me,
fine to
you know.
reach out. Yeah,
But
but
I
I
can
get that.
imagine, especially when they were newlyweds, I was like, that's the last thing you want is your mother in law showing up, you know. So I'm like, no, you need me, you call me, you know. I can be there in 20 minutes, but I won't be around if you don't, you know, want me to be around. But now that I have the granddaughter calls me and it's like, Granny, you need to come over. I'm like, let me talk to your mom. Let's make sure your mom wants Granny to come visit, you know.
Aw,
And
she
I was
loves.
out today running errands and my daughter had texted me and I said, well, if you want me to, I'll stop by. And if not, that's fine. And she was like, oh yeah, no. Well, then they wanted to go do everything I did today and go out to eat and all this. And I'm like, I do have a live tonight. You know, I have to get home. I said, I'll come back tomorrow and go swimming with y'all, but I got to go tonight, you know.
Do they participate with you? I've seen your granddaughter on your
My
channel.
daughter, I think she has been maybe in a couple of videos, but probably not her face. You know, just like you might
Sure.
see her arms or something. Um, and she'll ask me every once in a while, "What's your live about today?" Or you know, but as far as she doesn't usually watch them, and she doesn't care if my granddaughter's in a video. And of course, I asked her that when I first
Yeah.
started the channel. I was like, I know a lot of people don't want their kids on YouTube, you know, and I definitely won't if it's a problem. She was like, I don't care. I don't think you're going to do anything, you know, that you shouldn't do with her or whatever. So it's fine.
Obvious.
And my granddaughter thinks that all my friends live in the computer. And if I'm watching somebody's video, she'll say, what friend is that? And she'll be like, I want, you know, she wants to know everybody's names. And then if I talk to anybody on the phone or anything, she'll say, you know, is that her on on the video? It's like, no. And then if she sees herself on the video, she'll be like, there's my video. Like, like she's a movie star because she has a video.
Oh my gosh.
But
Precious.
when she was
Yeah.
here so much, I really couldn't do anything if I didn't include her, because
Yeah.
I was having to watch her. So now that she's not here all the time, maybe I'll be able to go live whenever I want to go live and, pretty much be able to do whatever without having to say, well, no, I can't do it then because I'll have the baby. And I tried to go live on Wednesdays when she would take her nap. Now that she's
Yeah.
older, it's like this past Wednesday, she wouldn't go to sleep. And she kept coming out of the room,
Mhm.
like making up excuses as to why she couldn't take her nap. She needed this or she needed that.
That's rough when hi. When they outgrow their nap time.
Yes. And I was like, well, okay, just kind of be quiet and it'll be okay. And then she laid on the floor a little bit away from me and was just like, okay, I'm not talking. But it's hard for them to understand that they need to be quiet or, that you're doing something else or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but now when I first started my channel, my daughter thought it was a big joke. She didn't, if I said I had a live, she was like, oh, you can cancel it. And I was like, no, if I schedule something and say I'm going to do something, I try really hard to keep my word and do that. And she was like, so when I fell a few weeks ago and I did cancel some stuff, she was like, I can't believe you actually canceled. And I was like, I was hurting so much. I couldn't even sit.
What
I had to be
happened?
reclining. I walked into the kitchen one morning, early in the morning, and when I turned the corner going into the kitchen, somehow I lost my balance and I fell. And when I fell on my right side and I like hit my hip and then hit my knee. And
Ouch. Yeah.
from where I hit on my hip, on my bottom and my hip, it swelled up and was pinching that nerve that runs down your leg. And so then it was like I couldn't even move my foot. It was like my whole leg was like not wanting to work or anything. And I really couldn't sit up because it put more pressure on it. So I was like laying in the recliner or laying in the bed. And I'm like, I'm not going live laying down. Now I'm still using my recliner because it hurts to sit at my desk. But I'm like, I'm not going live laying in the bed, or laying down. It's like, no, if I can't at least sit up to do it, I'm not going to do it. But,
I don't think anybody would mind, though.
It took about 2 weeks of me really staying off of it and, chilling out. And today was the first day that I was really like, I don't feel it. I don't feel that pain right now. So I need to get some things done. And it's still not hurting. So I think that swelling has gone down enough. But see, I've had back surgery and I've had a pinched nerve before. And I was like, oh no, this feels exactly like when I had that pinched nerve. And so when I went to the doctor was like, well, we need to do an MRI and we need to do this. You need to go have a nerve test done and blah, blah, blah. I was like, can we just give it a little while? Can we just see what happens? Because as soon as you start down that road of doing all that, it does something mentally to you. It's like you start worrying, oh, I could have this done. I might have to have surgery again. I might, and I was like, no, I want to believe that my body's going to heal itself and that I'm going to be good, And so my doctor was like, okay, I'm going to give you 2 weeks. And if it's not a whole lot better in 2 weeks, then you're going to have to, get it treated. And I was like, okay, no problem. And as soon as I could feel in my foot and start moving my foot a little bit, I was like, oh, it's getting better. I can tell it's going to be all right. Because when I did it the other time with my back, it was like my foot, I couldn't even lift my foot up. My foot just hung there. And it was like 2 months before I could use my foot properly.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, oh no,
Wow.
please no, please don't let it. But you know what I really think it is, why it hurt me so bad this time? Because I have lost so much weight in my butt and my hips that it was like bone against the hard floor. and I didn't realize I was falling. So it was like I went splat, hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like in a daze. I just laid there because I was like, now how am I going to get up from here? And I was here by myself. I didn't have my phone with me. I was like, what am I going to do? And I just laid there. And then it was like I started praying, like, God, you got to help me. I got to be able to get up. And it was on a morning that I had to go pick up my granddaughter.
Oh no.
So, it wasn't like I had a lot of time to mess around. I had to decide, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to, go. Well, by the time I drove to my daughter's, I couldn't get out of the car. I mean, I was like, my whole side was just throbbing. And so I called my daughter and I'm like, I'm in the parking lot, but I've fallen and I'm not going to get out of the car. Just bring her out to me and then I'll worry about getting out of the car when I get home. And then I had to sit there in the car when we got back home for a little bit, before I could actually get out. And then I was like, you're going to have to just play today because Granny's going to have to sit. And then I was like laying in my recliner, but I called my daughter and I said, I can't bring her back. You need to come and get her tonight,
And then did she get you to the ER?
Yeah.
Or?
Then when she got here and saw the big scraped part on my knee, and she's like, oh, your knee looks awful. I'm like, the knee isn't really bothering me. It's my hip, my butt. And she was like, oh my gosh, you should have, I didn't realize it was that bad. I could have took off work. We could have went to the doctor. I'm like, no, I didn't want, I could have called an ambulance for that matter if I thought it was, that bad.
Not bad.
I knew I hadn't broke anything. I just.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That you didn't? Did
It
they
was so
X-ray?
sore. Yeah, I had a regular hip x-ray done.
Okay.
Make sure that, because that's what my daughter said. You could have broke your hip. And I'm like,
It happens. Yeah. At our age, it's very serious. Yeah.
Before I had my weight loss surgery, I fell a lot. I mean, once a month maybe. And I would get my feet I would trip myself up because I had the nerve damage in my feet from my diabetes. And so I would use a cane or I would use my little rollator walker thing, and I haven't fallen in over a year. So I've been like, no cane, no I've just been bebopping along and it just took me so by surprise. Hello, Indigo Twin. So I don't really know. And Melissa's journey, welcome. I don't really know what happened. I don't know if I tripped, if I blacked out, I don't know. It was just like I was walking into the kitchen and then I was down on the floor and I broke my favorite coffee mug. I was more upset about that. I was like,
sucks.
oh no, I broke my coffee cup. But it definitely, and then, after I laid there a while and I thought about it and I said, I don't know. I put all this pressure on myself, like I have to do this, and this, and this, and this, and my daughter even said to me, who says you have to do all that? Right now you can take care of yourself and get feeling better,
Exactly.
And then like 2 days after I fell, I got an upper respiratory. They had both had colds. And I was like hoping I wouldn't get the cold. And then I wake up and my throat is sore and I'm coughing and my nose is running. And I'm like, okay,
There it is.
not only can I
There
not
it
move,
is.
now I feel horrible,
Mm.
And I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I'm going to stop. I'm going to do nothing. I am going to heal
Take
myself.
a break.
now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Maybe that's the universe. And I do think the universe. I believe in synchronicity for sure. Yeah.
And it's like, I've always been spiritual. I've always believed in God. I've always prayed. But I don't think I've taken the time to say or to slow down and just be quiet and be like, okay, let me see if I hear anything. It's like I pray about all this stuff and then I'm like going 90 to nothing. And it just made me feel like he was saying, just stop. Just
Be
rest.
still and know that I am God.
Yeah. And after that, it was like 2 or 3 days later, I was like, I'm changing the name of my channel. Because it's like my channel has never really had much of a direction. It's always just been whatever I felt like doing. And I was like, you know what? I'm changing the name. I'm going to get focused. I'm going to start doing what I want to do, and not worry so much about does YouTube like it? Do people like it? Because when you're on YouTube, which I never thought I would get monetized. That wasn't my intention. I wasn't, trying to do that. I just wanted to do kind of like you. I wanted to leave something behind, and I wanted to be able to tell things that my daughter and my granddaughter would have the videos, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
And also maybe connect with other people out
right,
there
right. And then
like-minded.
that was mainly, that was enough payment for me just by all the wonderful people that I've met. I've met people all over the world. And there's no way I would have done that if I hadn't been on YouTube. So, I was just happy doing that. But I think you can get bogged down into I want to get monetized, and I'm going to get these hours, and I'm going to get these subscribers. And I didn't want to lose me. I didn't want to, stop doing what I wanted to do just to try to get subscribers or just to try to get, monetized or whatever. And then once I got monetized, it was almost like, okay, so I hit that goal. I made that, now what am I going to do? And I'll tell you,
Mm.
the second 1,000 subscribers has come so easy compared to the first 1,000. The first 1,000, I felt like I was begging each person, please subscribe. And then it seems like after I got the 1,000, I was like, if you want to subscribe, subscribe. But I hardly ever say it in my videos. I hardly ever say it in my lives. I just assume if people want to, they will. But
Yeah.
now I'm kind of like,
Especially,
I want to help other people do whatever it is they have to do to enjoy their life, you know,
yeah.
um, whether it's getting healthy, whether it's, realizing that you are a whole person, you're not just this part or that part,
Yeah.
whatever it is that you need to do. Not that I haven't figured out, believe me, I'm still learning everything I can. I,
Of course.
I watched a lady the other day, and um, I'm kind of the kind of person that I either connect with people right away or not at all. I'm not real. Um,
Hmm.
I guess because I'm not everybody's cup of tea, so it's kind of like I either connect with somebody or I don't. And if I don't connect with the person, well, then I'm not gonna, pester them. I'm kind of like, okay, I never saw them again, so I guess they didn't want to be my friend, or whatever.
Oh,
But I was in this lady's
yeah.
live the other day, and I commented on the live after it was over. And she wrote me this huge comment back saying, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Some people don't like my opinions. I'm pretty blunt. And I was like, well, we're going to get along great because that's how I feel about myself. And she said, I don't care if people like what I got to say or not, but I'm going to, express what I want to express. And I said, that's the kind of people I want to be friends with and connect with, are people that aren't afraid of, because I've lived so many years of my life like, oh, you got to be quiet, you got to be the good wife, you got to do all these things. And where did it get me? It's like I didn't enjoy all those years. I could have been doing so much with my life, but I was trying to do what everybody else wanted me to do. You
Yeah.
know, and now I'm like, guess what? I want to please God, and then I want to please myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And they aren't necessarily separate if we believe that the divine is indwelling. And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think um, when I say, I just want to put a caveat out there about having said that. I don't think that we should fall into the therefore I am God. I am, therefore anything I do is right. That sort of,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, that's not, it's like that story about when the guru teaches the student that everything is God, you two are God, and the student walks in front of an elephant and the elephant walks over him and he's like, if I'm God, why did the elephant walk over me? And the guru's like, well, because the elephant is also God.
Yes.
So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to put that out there because I'm not a solipsist. But yeah, I think if we're aligned, and I don't always feel that I am, and I
Mhm.
mean, I really I really don't see myself as somebody who can teach spirituality at all. I just am so constantly like not sure of what is or isn't the truth, you
Mhm.
know. But I definitely think that we're one. We're, we're one, and we're connected, and part of what's happening right now in our country is, well, actually everywhere, is that we're so fragmented.
Yes.
And I think that means we need to go into our own psyche to a great degree and work on our own consciousness and wholeness. But it also means that we reach out, like you have to address material conditions in the world and injustice that is real in the
Yes.
world.
Hello, Jimena. Welcome. Magic of Healing. Um, I kind of feel like I've spent a big part of my life worrying and listening to the world and trying to, fit into the world.
But we need to change that narrative. That has become so powerful in this late stage capitalism,
Hmm.
and I have no problem with markets, but like where a fraction of a percent owns everything,
Yes.
all our land and mineral resources, and all of the means of production, so that we're all just slave laborers, and then yeah, we buy into that, like, ooh, I've got to grind. If I'm not grinding, I'm not worth anything. And so, do you remember Marianne Williamson running in the Dem primary?
I think I do.
I was for her. And the reason I love her is because she sees both sides of it,
Mhm.
that we got to change the world.
Hello, Tasty
It-
Peanut. Yeah, and I don't feel like it's too late for my generation. I just figured that out the other day that I'm the last year of the baby boomer, and then Gen X is the next year under me.
were you born in 1963?
Yes, and
Yeah,
that's
me
a
too.
cutoff for the baby boomers. So
Yeah,
we're the end of the baby boomers, and I always thought I was in the Gen X. I didn't realize it was that close.
I feel more like a Gen X
I
than a
do
boomer
too, and I
though.
guess it's because we're at the tail end of
Yeah.
baby boomers.
So we inherited the shit economy.
Yes, but I feel like we and there's the Gen X
Hi, Gen
effect.
X
Say,
effect.
hey, hi Gen X, hi Clint.
We were just talking about you.
Yeah, I kind of feel like a lot
Lots
of
of you live
people
here.
our age and older, the young people kind of just write us off. Like, what do we have to offer?
And
And
there's a
we have a lot to offer still. And I
I'll
feel
tell
like being that I think my daughter, I want to say she's going to be 28 in September. So I had her when I was 34, almost 35. So I was an older first time mom. But being that I had a daughter in school and everything, to me, I don't feel like I should be 62, because my daughter's so young. I feel like
yeah.
I'm younger, and I'm sure you do too, like that.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh. Yeah.
you
When
know,
I go to events and people are like, "Oh, is this your grandson?" I'm like, "Nah, no."
yeah.
God damn
Oh,
it.
I got it
Ooh,
all through her school.
sorry.
Oh, your grandmother brought you today. No, no.
Do I
But
really?
but
It's
I,
just not
I
how I
really
see
just
myself.
feel like we can't let ourselves be taken advantage of and pushed away. I mean, we still are here living and participating in, life. Now, yes, when you're, 75, 80, 90, maybe you're not as active, and doing things.
Yeah,
But
but
I feel like we still have a lot to offer the world. And I don't want people to think, oh, you reach a certain age and then I don't, nothing else I can do about it. Yes, there is plenty we can do.
well, I that's a big part of why I started the channel, and I've noticed that a lot of channels are being started by people our age,
Yes.
and I love it. I watch so many of them.
3 years ago, when I started my channel, I felt like I was a
Yes.
dinosaur because I didn't see any older people on here. It was all 20s and
Yeah,
30s. And I was like, what is wrong? What is
they
wrong
need
with
to be
this?
out there.
And now that, I mean, I think there's one guy started at 80, started his
Good
channel
for
at
him
80, you know? I'm
because
like, you know, you can
yeah,
start a channel anytime you want to. And also with YouTube, I feel like there's been a big shift, even in the past 3 years, that it's not so much a place to look things up to see how you do different things. I mean, I can remember, how to change a vacuum cleaner belt. You look up on YouTube and say the model and it'll tell you how to do it. But it's more community, it's more connection, it's more people because of the big C and people not being able to get out and go public places as much. I think we've all kind of learned, well,
for
hey, we can
sure.
still have that interaction with people over the internet. I never had shopped online before. I never had been in a chat room. I never watched YouTube. None of that.
Really,
And when I was sitting here during that time frame is when I started. Somebody mentioned YouTube to me, and I was like, oh, I didn't know there was other stuff like that on there. And I love true crime. And there was a big missing person case going on. And I started watching the news updates on YouTube and stuff with that. And that's how I got into watching YouTube. But now I can't imagine my life without it. And I'm such a big Amazon shopper too. I'm like, oh, I don't have to go look for that. Let me see if Amazon's got
mm,
it. So
same.
it
But
is definitely
but I'm so
nice.
conflicted because I know how they treat their labor force. You know,
Amazon, you mean?
Amazon. Yeah.
Mhm.
And my books on Amazon. Like that was they give self-published authors an amazing deal. It's
Good,
amazing.
good.
Yeah. Like you get I think 80% of book sales and 90% of Kindle.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. That's a really good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't really sell that many. Like nobody knows it's out there because I don't know how to do marketing. Like maybe there's a way to buy an ad on Amazon.
I don't know.
I should look into it more. Also, I'm having trouble with my account and my sign-ins. Yeah, so
You sound like me. Just the other day, I couldn't get back in my computer because I hadn't ever shut it off completely off and had to sign back in it. And I was like, oh no, it wants my password. I don't know my password. And my daughter was like, you don't know how to go in there and
why
tell us
don't you
you don't remember your password? I'm like, this is a new computer for me, and I really didn't know how to. I don't really know how to use it. I'm just using what I figured out on it. And my daughter's so funny. She's like, oh, okay, wait till I come over and I'll fix it for you.
it's good that we got them in our
Oh yeah,
lives. My
oh yeah.
husband's pretty good with it all, but my son is very yeah, he grew up with it. So,
Well, I used to use my daughter's old Chromebook, and I never had a Chromebook before, so I really was lost on it. And I had it on the desk, and my granddaughter was probably about a year and a half old, and she was up there one day just a banging on the
Uh-oh.
keys. Next thing I know, the picture is like teeny tiny, and it won't open it back up. And I can't figure out what she hit to make it do that. And I don't know how to get it undone, you know. And I was like, man, I don't want to have to tell my daughter, that we messed up because it was her laptop. I'm like, I don't want to have to tell her that the baby accidentally, hit something. So I finally did. She was like, oh, well, you just do this, this, this. I'm like, oh, okay. I really feel stupid now because I didn't have a clue. All I knew it was teeny tiny. I'm like, okay,
No, I'm right there with you.
I'm done
Like,
now. I can't do anything with it now. But I mean, I love technology for the things that it makes easier for us, but I don't like it when people don't have human connections because everything can be done on
yes,
technology,
that's yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I've seen even with my granddaughter things that she's learned like so quick on her little tablet that I'm like, how did you figure that out? Because, it's like my brain doesn't work that fast as hers does.
Ugh,
I'm like, boy,
yeah.
yeah, my
Kids.
brain is slowing down. That's why I play games. I like to try to keep my brain active, so that I don't lose that, I guess, cognitive part of my brain.
Absolutely.
But
No, I'm yeah, and especially after menopause, like, oh my God. It's
Indigo
just
Twin is asking, what is the book? This is the book, Indigo Twin. And I believe I put the Amazon link to it in my description box on this video, on this live stream. I think I did.
Willow. I have a mutual who I'd like to shout out if that's okay.
Yes.
Her content is called the Willow Rose Cottage, and it's very charming. Do you watch her?
I was going to say, I think I just connected. Does she have a bunch of parrots?
I don't think so. I don't think so. She's got two cats.
There's somebody with something, a rose, something that I just connected to the other day that has parrots, like
Oh.
speaking birds. So no, I must not. Let me put it in here and see now. You said it's called the
Rose
Willow
Cottage.
Rose.
And she lives in a cottage, like an old antique um, like a miner's cottage or something. It's historic. It's a historic building, and it's her decorating. She has like an herbal apothecary. She goes thrifting. It's just a very charming,
Well, I
whimsical,
am subscribed to her. She's not the lady I was thinking of, but I am subscribed to her, so I knew that name sounded
Oh,
familiar.
nice,
I'm going to
nice.
drop
Yeah.
her link in the chat, and then if
Oh, that'd
anybody
be
wants
great.
to check her out,
I hope she's still there.
there we go.
Yeah, and there's another woman I watch called the Resting Witch Face. You've probably connected with her.
I was going to say now that really sounds familiar.
She's fun. And they're our age. So again, like I'm finding just more and more people like our age. There's people like our age and older, like moving to France and Switzerland and Germany. And I'm like, maybe that'll be my next thing. I don't know. I would love to go to Europe actually and live. Okay.
Let's see. Life after 60 with resting witch face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She just changed her
Okay.
moniker.
I'm not subscribed to her, but
She's
I
fun.
will. I will.
She's
subscribe.
really sweet.
And let me take a picture, a screenshot, so I remember to go back and watch. And let me get her link. Okay. Well, paste.
Yeah.
There we go.
Beyond the Dream YouTube will teach you all of that. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, uh, Echo has been just so supportive, and most of my connections have come, most of my mutuals are through Echo. And I still haven't learned how to get Restream up myself, because I clicked on it on somebody's thing and it was asking for all this stuff, so I didn't. But like, you got me on here now, and probably it'll try to ask me to install it or something, which I'll try to
Well,
do.
now Restream does have a free version. Um, I
Is
don't
it?
really know a whole lot about it because I don't have the free version because I wanted to be able to have guests and be able to let them stream it to their channels too. So
Oh,
I
gotcha.
paid $19 a month. If you can pay for a whole year, it's only $16 a month, but you got to pay a
Okay.
year in advance. And I
Mm.
didn't want to do that. But now StreamYard is like $49 a month. So I used to have
Oh, maybe
StreamYard
that's what.
and I still have a free account at StreamYard, and I think I can use 20 hours a month.
Mm.
So, hi, Moon over Miami. He's one of my favorite YouTubers, and he has been so helpful to me. There's been
Yeah,
times that I've been on live and been like, this isn't working. I can't do this. I don't know how to. I couldn't give away my free memberships. I could not for the life of me figure out how to make it work. And I kept saying, I would look and it wouldn't say they were there. And I kept saying, well, I guess I didn't get any this month to give away, or whatever. And he finally had to like, here, do this. Now do this. Now do this. And then it was like, oh, I got it. Now I know. And if it hadn't been for him showing me, I don't think I would have ever figured it out. Because it was just like I was
that's fair.
yeah, you know. Hello, PJ's Wish.
Hi,
Well,
PJ.
it was like I was missing one little part of it and just couldn't do it. So he's taught me a lot about
The
you.
whole
And
point of community.
yes, and that's the thing. When I first started, everybody was like so tight mouthed about everything. It's like I would go in somebody's stream and I would see like they had Nightbot, and I would be like, "What is that? How do you get that?" And they wouldn't tell you anything. Like, no, we're not sharing anything with anybody.
That's
And I'm like, I'll tell anybody anything I know. I'll help anybody figure out anything they need to know because nobody would tell me anything.
that
Like,
sucks.
that's not right. Come on, people. But like I said, I've noticed this shift now where now there's people like the source that have a community of people getting started on YouTube and they're learning
Yeah,
from each other. There's Lashana Success Systems. She's relatively new and she's gotten monetized and she's helping people figure it out. And it's that information is out there and people are willing to share. Whereas when I first started, either I wasn't in the right places or something, but I definitely wasn't meeting anybody who was like, oh, I'll help you or no,
wow.
no. So I do like that. And I like having guests and I like being on people's panels or whatever. Um, I don't like, um, I guess I'm selective in where I go. I don't go places that I wouldn't be willing to share with my audience. Kind of like there are a lot of channels you might not know what it's all about, and you get in there and you're like, oh no, this is not for me. And then I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, let me get out of here. Let me not mess with that.
So
But
you like to vet your,
I'm
yeah,
very lucky in meeting a lot of good people who have helped me along the way and I've really made friends with them. And I didn't know anything about trolls. I didn't know anything about people blocking people in your channel. I mean, there were so many things that I just did not have a clue about the way things can happen.
I'm
Um,
answering.
yeah, are you spiritual? See your witchy lampshade. It's so
Yes,
cute.
ma'am.
Yes. And matter of fact, Jimena, I don't know if Jimena's still in here or not, um, but she's very spiritual too. And a lot of people, they kind of want to separate spirituality and Christianity. Like you can't be a Christian and believe in other types of spirituality things. And I'm not like that. I believe if you believe that there are good spirits, you have to believe in bad spirits too. And if you believe that you have a spirit within you, then other people have spirits too, you know. And
Yeah.
Jimena just did a live with a friend of hers, and they were talking about how, you know, you have to use it for good. And like she'll read tarot cards, but she's not reading them to like kind of, you know, scare people or tell people negative things. You know, she's it's more to say, okay, this is what's going, you know, I feel is going on around you. You know, is that something that resonates with you or not? You know, that kind of thing. But everybody has their own journey as far as all of that stuff goes, you know?
One love. Yeah. I'm with you, Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've even gone onto channels where, you know, they are Christians and they are talking God's words, you know, and then they're like, well, let me explain. I'm Christian, or I'm, you know, spiritual. I believe in God, but I'm not religious. I don't believe in necessarily organized religion,
Yeah.
you know. And I always say I'm non-denominational. I don't care, you know, as long as you believe the Bible is the Bible and God is God and Jesus is Jesus, I'm good with that, you know. And even with that, I think everybody has their own personal way that they feel.
Jesus. I'll be your personal Jesus. Yeah.
I mean,
There's within Christianity, there's a whole huge tradition of mysticism, you
mhm,
know, the Christian mystics and the saints. And, denominationalism is just so, to me, it's tedious. Um, and I would say, just to answer, you didn't ask me specifically, but, well, she's not seeing the comments. Willow Rose? Willow?
oh, I'm not seeing the
Hmm.
oh, because you're over on Olivia's channel and you're not seeing the comments of the people on my channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can see, like, I can see both sets of comments. Indigo Twin says, I call myself witchy. I think about my roots starting in the Christian church and branching off into my own witchy path. See, I had an aunt that believed in poltergeist. She believed in, you know, seeing spirits that had passed on, or of people that had passed on. She had these little Buddhas. And, you know, I always think, you know, you're not supposed to worship another God other than God. But they were always the cutest little, fat little belly Buddhas, you know. And I always remember that, you know, I never thought, well, gee, I wonder if she believes in Jesus or if she only believes in, you know, the witch spirit, you know, side of things. But I think that she pretty much did believe in Jesus too.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know, I think there's really strong evidence that he did live, exist, um, and walked and taught throughout Palestine,
Hmm.
Galilee. He was born in Bethlehem, which is the West Bank of Palestine. Um, and it was always Palestine,
Hmm.
even before the Roman occupation and before, um, long before Israel. Um, so, yeah, Jesus was a Palestinian. born in Bethlehem, and he walked and he taught. He was probably a rabbi. You know all this better than I do, I'm sure. And I think that for me, I love the words of Jesus. Like, whether there's like one decisive point in history where God entered one individual human, Jesus, as Christ, is I'm not willing to say yay or nay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the most important thing is that Jesus taught from Torah, and those teachings are what we should live. Especially if you do still call yourself Christian. And I really don't, but I am very deeply influenced by my Catholic upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I still I think that if you're not living what Jesus taught, that you need the one I'm speaking to the you out there, the ubiquitous you,
Mm-hmm.
Republicans. Um, you're not Christian, and you need to shut your mouth and don't put that in your mouth when you're like telling us lies about who are criminals
Mm-hmm.
and destroying lives and locking them up and sending them to internationally understood to be concentration camp prisons, things like that. Like, if you're a Christian, live what Jesus said.
Yeah.
It's simple. And yeah, I feel like I had a fundamentalist phase of Christianity, like my first year in college, like, you know, and I spent so much time absorbing uh, scripture. And I'm glad I went through that. I came out the other side with more questions than answers, which is where I'm still at. And but I know that there is a spirit, a Holy Spirit, and if you've encountered it, you're not going to be filled with hate and bigotry and contempt. And Jesus even said, by their grapes, by
Mm-hmm.
their fruits you shall know
Yeah.
them. By
Right.
their fruits you shall
Right.
know them.
And I was just in a live the other day, and they were talking about forgiveness. You know,
That's hard.
when
Can be hard.
something has been, done that hurts you, it's very hard to forgive that person.
Yes, it is.
And
It is.
it's not that you're forgiving and forgetting and saying it's okay what they did.
Right,
You're
right, right.
you're just
Yeah.
letting go of that hold between the two of you. Because no matter what, if you're still not forgiving that person, you are in a bond with that person, you know. And until
Yeah,
you can let that go and
energetically,
release
yeah.
that, you're not going to be able to move past whatever it was. And the perfect example I use is when I ended up getting my divorce. I was married for 29 and a half years, thought I was happily married, didn't have a clue. And all of a sudden, my husband was gone. And my whole world got turned upside down. And I had a 17-year-old daughter I had to finish raising on my own. And he didn't have anything to do with my daughter for 3 years. So, yeah, did I have
That
some
was his daughter
resentment?
too?
My daughter, yeah. His daughter, too, yeah. And, was I angry? Was I upset with him? Yes.
Yeah, of
But the
course.
thing about it is that I had to make the choice of forgiving him, because even though I didn't feel like I did anything wrong, like I had any kind of fault in the marriage, it takes two people. So obviously I did have some fault because I didn't even know that he was unhappy. So you have to kind of look at that even though, consciously did I know there was issues and that I did something that made him want to leave? No. But in the long run, when you really think about it, obviously something wasn't right between us or it wouldn't have happened the way it happened. But because I was living the fairy tale of, we're going to raise our child and then we're going to retire and, life's going to be wonderful, have happily ever after. That didn't happen. So I had to decide, okay, I want my daughter to have a relationship with her dad. You know, I,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the reason she doesn't have a relationship with her dad. And when my granddaughter was coming, we had always said, we didn't have grandparents growing up. Our daughter didn't have grandparents growing up. We wanted our grandchildren to have grandparents. And
Yeah.
so when we got that place in our life, it was like, look, you need to forgive him. He's a human being. He made mistakes. I'm a human being. I've made mistakes. You got to forgive him, and you've got to open up your life and say, I want this life still, that we have this family and we have our daughter and our grandchildren. And it was hard. It was really hard for me to say, okay, I'm going to forgive you and I'm going to have you in my life, in my face,
Yeah.
because you hurt me, and I didn't feel like I deserved that hurt. But
I know
now,
you didn't.
10 years later, I can look at it and say that even though my life is not what I thought it was going to be, I have a good life. I like my life, and I have a happy child, and I have a very happy grandchild. And,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they have him in their lives. And if I hadn't been able to forgive him, I could have pretended like I forgave him. I could have pretended around him, you know. My daughter would have known right off. She would have been like, "You're not being truthful. You still hate him." It's like, no, I don't hate anybody. That's awfully, strong to hate somebody. But I had to go ahead and say, I will forgive him, and
I hate some
I'm
people.
okay with it. You know, it was really hard. And most of my friends were like, "You're a crazy person if you're going to forgive him." And it's like, yeah, but it's my life, and I've got to live with me being angry at him. You know, I have a lot more peace in my life knowing that I don't have that bond with him anymore, that we're unhappy with each other. We can be happy as grandparents and parents.
Thank you, PJ. I'll
And
be looking for you.
there's the source. Welcome.
Aloha.
Um,
Shalom. Assalamu alaikum.
but I'm sure there are
Namaste.
a lot of things that are hard for people to forgive, somebody.
Oh,
But,
yeah. I
you don't
think
forgive, because,
especially
he never said he was
infidelity.
sorry.
Yeah.
He never said, "Oh, I know what I did was wrong." Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay.
You just couldn't. You just,
Just,
yeah.
you know,
That,
and that's okay, because I forgive myself for whatever part I played, and I forgive him. And I don't want to have that on my conscience. I don't want to have that in my heart. I want to be happy. So, but I think that's a really hard thing for people to do. And sometimes I was even mad at God. Now, when my dad passed away when I was 18 years old, I was mad at God for taking my dad. You know,
yeah.
I had to like forgive God for taking my dad. That was hard too.
Yeah. I
You know?
think, that's also part of the tradition of rabbinical Judaism is to argue with God.
Mm-hmm.
That, remember the angel of the Lord, Jacob
Yep.
wrestled. Jacob wrestled with the angel of the Lord and was then named Israel, which means to struggle with God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of, I think it's part of spiritual honesty to like question.
Well, see, and of course, I was 18. I didn't, I wasn't ready not to have a dad. And I didn't know, I hadn't really dealt with a
No,
whole lot of loss, so I didn't really know how to deal with the grief and everything.
yeah, of course. That's
But
very
several years ago, I came to the realization that sometimes God will take somebody to prevent future suffering for that person. Because, like, especially if you think about like babies
maybe.
that
I
are,
have no idea.
are stillborn or something like that. It's like, even though it seems unfair that that life was cut short, and that that didn't happen, maybe there was going to be more suffering if that baby had been born or whatever. And so when my dad was very sick, and I was glad his suffering was over, but I would have liked for God to have healed him and let him stay here, you know. So that was pretty much my turmoil of, I didn't understand why. Why did he have to die? But like I said, now sometimes when somebody is in that situation that you really don't want that suffering to get any worse or to continue, and so God he'll put an end to that. So, oh, Tracy doesn't have blue butterfly wings. I am so sorry. Oh, Columbia, California, the Willow Rose Cottage is in
That's Willow.
California.
Hot there, Willow?
Yeah. See, we got somebody in here from Texas. You're in Colorado. I'm in Georgia. Source is in Hawaii. She's in California. It's
I
amazing.
know, it's great. Yeah.
It is just amazing. I've met somebody in Sweden, somebody in Belgium, of course, a lot of people in Canada, um, a couple people in
Got
Turkey.
anybody on here?
I'm trying to think. Where else? Africa, South Africa.
Crooked Peach.
Somebody in Cyprus. I didn't even know where Cyprus was. Um,
Greece.
so
Crooked Peach is over here on mine. I'm sorry, Crooked Peach. I just saw you. I'm trying to like pay attention to the screen, and
yeah. Well, it says you've got some people over there, so you should have some.
I think does Crooked Peach live in North Carolina or in Georgia?
Probably North Carolina. I don't think she's in Georgia. I should know that, but I don't.
Well, we have so many connections. Like you have a lot of guests on all the time.
And I absolutely love it. That's
Yeah.
that's one thing that even if I didn't do anything else, I would still have guests on because I just enjoy it so much. And most of the time, I feel like I'm begging people, like, "Would you please come and be my guest?" And then other times, I'm like, "Okay, I don't really want to have, a bunch of people scheduled." But now, since I opened up Monday night, because a lot of people are busy on the weekends, uh,
Hmm.
Tracy says she's in Canada, in
Canada.
British Columbia, Canada. Um,
Oh yeah, you're on Echoes,
yeah, you're on
Willow.
my channel now, Willow.
She'd be a great guest to have.
Yes,
She's adorable.
Saturdays at 6 or Mondays at 7. Just my email is in my about section. Um, but I decided to do the Monday night too because a lot of people go live on Tuesday,
Me either, Will.
Thursday. Some people go live on Wednesdays, and I was like, Friday, Saturday is always, busy with people. And so I was like, maybe if I do it like on a Monday night, there's like, we made it through Monday. It's like, okay, we can just
That's a
hang
good one.
out and chill out. We made it through this Monday. So I'm starting to get people lined up for that.
Yeah.
People,
I mostly stay home. Me either, Willow Rose. She is my mentor. Echo. Echo has helped me so much. And is still like teaching me things. So she just sent me a link and I clicked on it I had to go through some other steps. That's why I was a little late. Not to this live stream, but we were gonna connect up before. But yeah, so it's pretty easy, and she makes it easy. I think I'd love to see you in an interview. I think you guys would connect really well.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
great.
Willow's adorable. Yeah,
And I like the fact that I have the restream to where I can just email you a link and you
it's
can
so
connect
it's
and
so
come
easy.
on. Yeah. I've had a lot of people think, oh, well, I don't have restream. Well, you don't have to.
That's
You're just
brilliant.
going to
Yeah,
click
because I don't.
connect on mine. It's fine. The source
Are
is
you still
saying
doing
hi.
chair workouts?
I will get back to it. I had to stop, of course, because of my hip.
Oh, that's right. Your
Um,
injury. Oh my
but
God.
what I want to do, because I was getting to where I had started using the resistance bands on a few things. Um, and there are some exercises that you use the chair like for support, but you're like standing behind the chair
And using the
to do like a
resistance?
squat or different leg exercises. And so I want to, move on from just doing the seated ones to start doing some of those as I get, better and
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
more of it. But, it's funny because it really did work holding myself accountable by saying I was going to do it and I was going to record it and I was going to put it
Yeah.
on YouTube. Then I was like, okay, you have to do it now.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
definitely, I was in just starting the 5th week. I think I did Monday of that 5th week, and it was that Wednesday that I fell. So I didn't do it that day. But I don't know how long. I think they say it takes 21 days to make something a habit, but it was like I was definitely in the habit of those days, that I was going to do it. So, and I've got
Yeah.
so many more exercises that I found that I haven't even tried yet because I kept trying to keep the ones I really liked, but add different ones too. And then if I didn't
Yeah.
really like one, I was like, yeah, I won't do that again.
Shake
Here
it
I'll
up a
do
little.
something else. Yeah. But I did find somebody who is she's on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And she had the same surgery I had. And she was over 500 pounds when she had her surgery. And she has lost, I want to say, over 250 pounds. So she's like half what she was. And they call her the seated cardio queen because she
Oh,
does
I'll look her
seated,
up.
but she does cardio. I'll send you her link. Um, but she does like 3 modifications. So, like, if you can't use your legs, she does a modification of you doing the exercise just with your arms. Then, if you can use your legs, and then, like, the hardest. So, it's like easy, medium, and hard. But she'll give you that for each exercise. So, it's kind of like you just do where you're at, and you can work up
Nice.
to
Yeah.
whatever. But she was going live Monday through Thursday, like at 7 in the evening, but she changed jobs.
Bye,
And now,
Willow.
bye, email me, and I'll be
Yeah,
over
she
here
dropped her
watching your
email.
content. She got a new job, so I don't know when she'll be going live. But she knows what she's talking about, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. I mean,
Training.
I don't want to watch somebody who's always been fit, or somebody who it's not difficult for them, to do the exercise or whatever. I like knowing somebody, knows what it's like because I was heavy my entire life. So it's like I've never exercised really, So it's like I want to
Really, you're doing great.
how to do it and incorporate that in my life. But I don't want anybody to think, oh, well, she thinks she knows what she's doing. I'm learning right along with everybody else. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy it a lot. And I was feeling so that's why I can't believe I fell. Because I was feeling so good. And then
That's so freaky. Like Do you think your foot caught on the rug or on the linoleum, or just you don't know?
I have no idea. I know I was in a hurry that morning. I was trying because I was going to film my workout before I went to pick up my granddaughter. And so I
And
had
you were
set up my camera and stuff, and I had had my coffee, and I was going into the kitchen, and then I was going to start the workout, and boom, I fell. So I don't really know. I wish I knew, you know, what I did,
what?
because I'll be
Yeah,
careful not to do that again. But
yeah.
it was just the weirdest
I
thing,
hear you.
like I'm all ready. I could see if I was half asleep or not feeling good or something. But I was just, it was just like I was ready to go, and then poof. So
That's
it was
crazy.
really
Yeah.
unusual. And I mean I like pushed the shelf out of the way, and when I fell, I mean I I don't even know. I don't even know how it happened, but I skinned up my elbow and skinned up my knee, but I hit my bottom first, and then boop, on my knee and my elbow, and I didn't have anything to like pull myself up or be. And luckily I remembered that I could use the edge of my kitchen counter, that if I could get over to the counter, I could kind of like grasp onto that, and then I was able to get my side that wasn't hurting up under me enough that I was able to pull up onto the counter. So, but I was really
Scary.
out thinking, how am I going to get up? And can I crawl? I knew I couldn't get on my knees and crawl, but I was like, could I scooch myself into the living room and get up onto the sofa or the chair or something? So I was glad that it like came to me. Oh, try the counter first. You're closer to the counter than anything else.
That's
But
just terrifying.
when I
You know,
was falling all the time, I had a hide a key on my patio. I had the life
you did the
alert
lifeline?
ring, so
Yeah.
that if I fell, it would go off, and then they would call the ambulance, and then they gave them the instructions. The key is there, so they didn't have to break my door down. So I
Yeah.
felt a lot safer, like if something was to happen. But because I was doing so good, I was like, I don't need any of that. And then and that was God too telling me, don't get cocky. Don't think you're doing so good. You got to take it slow.
Or just remember that we all are interdependent, that it's okay to need other people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just such a shock because, like I said, I had my year from my surgery is in July, and I fell like in March before my surgery, February, maybe the end of February. And so it's like I hadn't fallen since then. So it's been well over a year. So and I even
Crazy.
had shoes on. And that was the one thing my daughter said. Well, did you have your shoes on? I'm like, I had my shoes on. So I don't feel like I slipped. I don't have a rug, or I have the same floor that's in my living room as in my kitchen. So it's not like I had a difference in the level of the floor or anything like that. So I can't really put my finger on it and say, well, this is what I did. I just come around that corner
Yeah.
and
And yeah, I mean, if you can figure it out, it's helpful. But I mean, just going forward from here and just concentrating on getting better.
yeah.
Probably your
And definitely not being in a hurry. Not being in a hurry. It definitely taught me to slow down and not put so much pressure on myself. I was putting out so many videos because there was just so many things I was interested in, and I was finding all these channels that were doing all these collaborations and challenges, and I was just so excited about them all and everything. And I was just working myself to death trying to do everything. And now I'm kind of like, man, I really need to make a video, but I really haven't made that many since I've been feeling better, but I will. I will. You know.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
pace yourself.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this camera being blurry is bothering me. I think it's trying to focus on the background, what's behind me,
Mm.
instead of me, because I'm not usually in here. I'm usually in my other room.
Oh, it's mine's stitching it up.
Yay! Hello, hello.
Hi.
I got you playing on my TV. Oh, you must have just ended that live.
I'm waiting.
'Cause it just it just cut off.
My face is getting red.
Ah, well, okay, TV. My TV has a mind of its own sometimes.
Well, I'm really grateful that people are here. Thank you.
Oh, I know. I love it. Every time I get ready to go live, I think, well, what if nobody shows up? It's like, well, I guess I'll just talk to myself. It'll be fine. People will watch it on the replay. But then when people actually do come in, I'm like, yay!
I know it's fun. It's fun. Does anybody like want to ask questions?
Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Olivia? But I am going to finish because, like I said, we're up to chapter 4, which is community. And I definitely am going to finish sharing some of your book. And I'm definitely going to finish reading this book and try to,
Show me that book again.
it's called Well Nourished.
Well nourished. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like something that would be right up my alley that I would
Yeah.
really like.
I mean, I was just like, because I go to Goodwill and I go through their books, looking for
Yeah.
looking for cheap books or whatever. And
Oh, thank you, Tracy.
it's got your physical nourishment, emotional, psychological, social, intellectual, creative, spiritual, worldly. Yeah. And see that
Wow.
creative? I'm just trying to tap into my creativity because all my
Oh,
life
wow.
I've always said, oh, I'm not creative. I don't do crafts. I don't do anything. But I always liked it, but I just never let myself try to do it because I think my mom really put, some damage to my mind. Like, if you can't be the best at something, don't even try to
Oh
do
my
it,
God.
you
Yes.
know?
Yes. That's
And
so toxic. It's such a toxic part of our culture.
well, and and now that I know people who are truly creative, now I realize that you don't create to anybody else's standard or anybody else's level. You create what comes through you and out onto the paper or onto the canvas or whatever it is. It's about the creativity in you coming out.
Hi, Les.
And I never looked at it that way.
Oh my, I know. And I think that a lot of us fall into that trap.
Hmm.
And one of the things that helped me, there's a book by Julia Cameron. You may have heard of it. It's called The Artist's Way.
I think you told me about it before, but let me
Oh,
write
did
it
it?
down.
Okay. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. It just sort of absolutely, Tracy. Yeah, we're born to create, and just the whole commodification of the arts, and the idea that we have to be the best at something so that we can commodify it. Yeah.
Well, seeing like I love music, okay? I love to see people, creating music. singing, playing an instrument, writing, anything to do with music. But I have no musical talent myself. I
That
cannot.
you have explored
Right.
yet, that you
Well, no,
know.
I've tried. I've taken several different kinds of lessons, and no. But the thing about it is that the appreciation of music and of people that have that talent is actually, not everybody has that. Not everybody is able to enjoy. So it's like I did get a gift
Hmm.
for music, just in the appreciation of it, not in the actual of making it or doing it. And I think that's where I'm at now, that I'm understanding that, you don't have to be able to do everything everybody else can do. You have certain things you can do that maybe somebody else doesn't do, or doesn't feel that way about it, or whatever. But it's like, it's so much of the world, comparing to the world, and trying to fit in the world, and I'm in a place now where I'm not trying to fit in anymore. I'm trying to figure out who I am and what is unique and different about me, instead of shunning away from those differences and trying to be quote unquote normal, you know.
Fuck the normies.
Yeah. Now I'm like, I don't care if you don't like it or not. If I like it, that's,
That's
all
exactly
that
right.
matters. And there's one thing that I'm trying to pass on to my daughter and my granddaughter. But the main thing I'm trying to pass on to my daughter is that even though you are a wife and a mother and an employee of someone, you are still you, the individual person. And you
Yeah.
cannot lose yourself by becoming a wife, a mother, an employee, because that's what I did in my life. I put Echo on the back burner because I was taking care of for everybody else and everything else.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Not and live a happy, balanced life. You cannot do that. And so I'm trying to make sure that my daughter understands that it doesn't make you a bad mother if you want to go out with your friends sometime. It doesn't make you a bad wife if you would rather sit and read a book than watch your husband play a game or something.
Yeah.
You are still allowed to do those things, just like you allow him the space to do his hobbies. He is allowing you that space to do your hobbies. So don't ever think that you have to stop being you in order to be a good wife, or to be a good mother, or to be a good whatever your job is. And with my granddaughter, I want her to know that it doesn't matter if you're like anybody else or not. You just be the best you can be, whatever that means. And she is biracial, and she is going to have some challenges in her life. So she needs to be strong in who she is, you know.
The
She's
daughter or the granddaughter?
my granddaughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
She and she
Well,
is
and I
she doesn't know. She isn't old enough yet to know. She knows, she's just now learning that everybody's not a girl. That was funny the other day. She said, "My daddy's a girl." And we were like, "No, your daddy is a boy and grandpa is a boy." And she was like, "Okay." Yeah, I'm like, yeah, everybody's not a girl
okay.
just because you're a girl. So she hasn't really realized yet. She'll say, we'll ask her, what color are you? What color is daddy? What color? And she'll tell you, and she knows that she's brown, and she'll say in a heartbeat, my daddy's black. But it's like she doesn't call us, my daughter and I, she doesn't say we're white, we're beige, or we're tan. But I mean, she doesn't really understand, what any of that means, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but she gets a lot of compliments on her hair, and her hair is not like, uh, it's so thick and so curly. And my daughter does such a good job taking care of it that it is beautiful hair. But it's like a lot of little girls that have curly hair want straight hair. And if you have straight hair, you want curly hair.
Oh.
And so it's like we always say, you're so lucky to have such beautiful hair, because we don't want her to be like, I don't want my hair. I want a different
Mm.
color hair, or a different kind of
Yeah.
hair, or whatever. Um, but I guess I'm an open-minded enough person that I don't care that she's, biracial. I don't care that my son-in-law is African American. He is good to my daughter and good to my granddaughter, and he's very good to me, and that's all that matters. He could be purple for all I care, you know. Doesn't
Right.
doesn't matter, But I know the world doesn't see that. Everybody doesn't understand and feel the same way that I feel, and that's okay. And I've told my
It's
daughter
not
that.
okay. I mean,
That
I think those attitudes are changing, but there's
yeah.
a lot of, I mean, there's also a lot of resurgent racism,
Hmm.
like that feels very emboldened to let itself be seen now. Um, but so I would say no, I mean, there's that whole question of tolerance. Like,
Yeah.
should we tolerate intolerance?
Mm-mm. But as much as it goes both ways. There's racism on both sides. You know, People have opinions about things, and I know it's basically how they're raised and how they where they grew up maybe or whatever. But I want our world, or the world I live in, I want it to be an open-minded world where we are all God's children, and therefore we should love each other for no other reason than that. But I don't
Yeah.
believe we're not there yet, that's for
Mm.
sure. Oh, PJ said she can't find your channel. Well,
There's
PJ.
a great book my brother sent me, Bird by Anne Lamott. It's on writing. Yeah, Les. I think to any creative joy. Yeah, yeah, how, like, it's about process. Like, that's where the joy is.
Hmm.
It's in the process, it's not in the product, maybe. Someone is looking for my channel.
I'm sorry. All right. I'm trying to get PJ so she'll know how to find your channel. And then my friend is driving through town and wanted to know if I'm home. So I had to let her know, yes,
Oh,
I'm
not a problem.
home. Let's see. There's a great book my brother sent me, Bird by Bird by Anne. Oh, okay. Let me write that down. Bird by Bird. I definitely love to read.
I know you read a lot. I used to read a lot. Anymore, I'm not as much. It's something I'm trying to get back to. In fact, I wanted to share a couple of books if I could.
Okay. My daughter is a big reader, and luckily she buys the books. And then she's
And
like,
then
"Oh, this
passes
you'll
them down.
like this one," and she'll let me read it. I have to thrift shop my books. I can't afford to buy expensive books, but she does.
Oh
But
yeah, we go to secondhand bookstores or find stuff at thrift stores.
and I'm going to
Yeah.
do a video on this because I just found out that there is a website and it's called My Little Library. Have you ever heard of it? They're free boxes that people put up, and they put books
Oh
in them, and you can
yeah, I've
go
seen
and
them.
get a book and put books in there or whatever. Well, I thought it was just when my daughter said, "Have you looked at the free library?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" So she took me around to three of them the other day
Did you
and
find anything
showed me
good?
the website and everything. So I'm going to do a video on that because I didn't know about it. So other people might not know about that either, you know. But I got like 6 books that day. So
Awesome.
I've got to go through some of mine and go put some back since I got some out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love those. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, what? Free books? Yeah, that's right up my
Such a
alley.
yeah.
And she said, when we go to see Grandpa and Nana up in South Carolina, that there's one right down the street from their house. So she said, when we go there on vacation, we're going to look on the website and see what other ones are up there because we might get some books from there.
Nice.
But yes, tell me the book so I can write it down on my list.
Okay. So I'm just starting this one, but it's The Myth of Normal.
Oh,
Yeah, really good, by Dr. Gabor Mate. And it's on family dysfunction and childhood trauma and
oh,
recovery,
wow.
and how that spills over into our society. And this one is really important for understanding the conflict in Gaza right now, because most of us don't know crap about the Middle East.
Right. Okay.
And I'm right
Read
there.
it to me because it's backwards on there right now, so I
Oh,
can't.
it's the 100 Years War on Palestine.
Okay.
And the author's name is Rashid, Rashid, Khalidi, Khalidi. And he's a professor of, I think, law and Middle Eastern studies or something,
Okay.
somewhere. Let's see.
Tracy says, I actually prefer really old books. They have very different information, especially regarding medicinals. And I know a lot of people read online and, in the Kindle and all that. I like having a physical book to hold. I like the
Me
way
too.
books smell sometimes. And,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I definitely like to have a book. I'm trying
Me
to
too.
remember now. I went to Goodwill today. I think I got 2 or 3 books today.
What you reading?
Hmm?
What are they? What
Oh, I
what
don't even
are you reading
remember.
now?
They're still in the car. I didn't even bring them. I didn't bring everything in because I had cold stuff and some plants, and I was like, let me get the stuff I got to take in, and then I'll go back and get the rest of the stuff.
Gotcha.
My little car was packed full of stuff today.
Did you make a haul video
No,
with your stuff? Not
I,
today.
I do a lot of times, but
I
today
know.
I didn't because I was in a hurry to get that cold stuff put up or whatever. But I need to clean out my refrigerator and my freezer. I really need to do that.
Oh, I hate that. That's
And
my
I did go through and pull out all of the old stuff and throw it out. So now I just need to go in there and clean it. But I eat so little at a time that I have had all these little containers with just a little bit in it. And then it's
of
like,
like your pre-measured
yeah,
food.
yeah, you forget it's in there. And then you're like, oh, gee, that was like, I bought that like 2 weeks ago. It's like, I don't think I need to be eating it now.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate that when the fridge is full and there's stuff gets shoved to the back, and then it gets wasted.
Yes,
I hate food waste.
I do too.
It's
I try not to, and what I'm going to do, I've made my decision on this now. Um, I do it when I cook something at home. I go ahead and put some of it in the freezer so that it's not in the refrigerator and then goes bad and gets thrown out. So I go ahead and just automatically take part of it and put it up in the freezer.
that's smart.
But I don't do it when I have takeout stuff. And so I decided that because we went to Chinese today, and I was like, I'm not going to get a to-go box or by the buffet. I'm just going to order something off the menu, and it'll still be enough for me to eat probably 6 times from it. So I'm going to go ahead and instead of just sticking that in the fridge, and then I always end up throwing some of it away. I'm going to go ahead and put some of it in the freezer. And then that way, when I don't feel like cooking, all I have to do is throw it out.
Something to, yeah.
Because I'm really bad. Because I can't eat that much at one time. And then I think, well, I'll want that again in a little while. And then I forget all about it. And then I make something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even eat a whole can of soup.
Yeah. How what are your portions? Like what's your
I can do about 3 to 4 ounces at a time,
Oh my
depending upon what
God.
it is. Because I had the sleeve surgery where they take out 85% of your stomach. So my stomach is about the size of a banana, a small banana, like a little banana.
Okay.
But
Wow.
it really depends on what it is. Some things like will go more, and then other things it's like just a little bit makes you feel full. So I can't eat, and I used to buy the soup that I would add water to, and I definitely can. Oh, hold on one second. Come on in. Come on in. I'm on the computer, but I'll be done in a minute. Um, but so then I started buying the soup that's already made that you don't isn't condensed, that you don't have to add the water to it, and I still can't eat it all. So I have to like at least put half of it in a container and put it up. But now I started getting
Wow.
smart, and I'm going to freeze that other half instead of putting it in the refrigerator and forgetting all about it. So yeah. It's a nice struggle to have, that you
I
can't eat
guess
it.
you feel
I lost
full.
100 pounds, so now I've lost 92 pounds. I've lost 92 pounds.
Wow.
And the clothes that I bought today, I bought some tops and some shorts, and I got 1X, and I had been wearing like a 4 or 5X.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and
Okay.
actually, I could have got. I bought one thing in a 2X because it didn't look that big, and I'm going to take it back and get the 1X because the 1X things that I got fit better. So I was like, okay, good.
Good
But it's
job.
really
Good
hard
job.
when you're losing weight like that because you don't know what size you truly are. And I always wore my clothes baggy and anyway, and now it's like I don't want them to be super loose or super, baggy or whatever. Okay. So and I made the mistake. I bought 2 pairs of jeans, and they're too big now. And I'm like, I shouldn't have bought two.
Tracy, thank
Tracy,
you so much for being here.
okay, bye, Tracy. But I should have
Yeah, I
bought
like your
one pair.
hauls.
I should only bought 1 pair, and then when I when they were too
Check them
big,
out.
then I could have bought another pair. But I wanted a black pair and a blue pair, so I bought two at the same time. So but, you kind of like mentally don't think you're going to change sizes that much.
Does it happen pretty fast?
Yeah. But you think, oh no, this is probably where I'm going to be. I'll go ahead and get this size. And then you lose more weight and you're like, oh, no, I should have. But you don't want to buy something too small, because then you can't wear it. But I don't know. If I could just be in regular sizes, I would be happy.
You'll get there,
Because it's so
especially as you add more
discouraging to
movement.
go shopping when you can't find something, you know, on the rack that fits you. It can be very, like you don't want to go shopping. You don't want to buy clothes. So it's nice to at least be able to go into a store and be like, oh, they have my size.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's gotta feel wonderful.
Here, my thing is doing it again. What you got?
Well, you're talking about.
Clothes sizes. This is my friend Kathy. You mind?
Hi, no, I don't want to pay. How you doing?
She had the
Hi.
surgery. She had the surgery too. She had it about 2, 3 months after me.
Yeah.
A couple months after me.
October, beginning of October.
Okay. I had mine in July. She had hers in October.
Thank you, Beyond. Thank you. So, how long ago was that? October this year? I mean, last in
Yeah,
24?
24.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
I lost almost 60 pounds.
Okay. Wow. And
Yeah.
how's it going?
Good, but right now I'm kind of at a standstill, frustrated.
The stalls are. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
You go for a couple of weeks, you don't lose anything, and you think, well, gosh, why am I not losing? And then all of a sudden you'll start losing again. but your body really has to like readjust at each stage.
Yeah.
And so the stall, I mean, I've had stalls my whole time.
Yeah.
And
This isn't my first stall.
and then you really get discouraged because you're like, but I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why am I having a stall? You know, but it'll eventually come.
There she is. That's better.
Hey.
Oh, I know. I'm like, can I get it to where we can both be on there? There we go.
So you're talking about clothes. So
Uh-huh.
I found this.
Ooh, Paris. This is my friend that's going to go to Paris with me.
You're going to Paris?
We want to go.
We want to go to Paris. Yes. So we are going to plan a trip to go to Paris. Well, she
Oh,
wants to
you
go
have
to
got
England.
to stream
I
that.
go to London.
She wants to go to London, and I want to go to Paris. So we're just going to go together.
Well, I
Go to
mean,
both.
if you fly to Paris, you'll probably have to land in London anyway.
Yeah, that's what we said. They're all so
Yeah.
close. Even like Italy, I think is really close in there too. Like you can take little day trips to different.
Once you're on the
places.
continent, yeah, you just go on the what is it? The transit systems.
Mm-hmm.
And you I think you could then travel anywhere in the EU with your passport. I'm not
Now
sure.
my friend Dagmar that lives in Belgium, she goes to France a lot. So
Yeah.
you know, maybe
Yeah,
I'll
they're
be able
right
to
there.
see her too.
Oh man. I was trying to find the let's see total. There's something thermic effective. There's something I was trying to look up that explains those stalls.
Where did you find that?
Just simply 10.
I never heard of it.
It's, you know where Piggly Wiggly is?
Yeah.
On Lee Street there.
Yeah.
Up that side.
Oh, okay. I'll go check it out tomorrow.
Because I was gonna say, I probably might, not 100%, but might be coming in tomorrow. And
I love that. Look how shiny it is.
yeah. And the back is
Ooh. Bring it on.
plain.
Oh,
The front is blinged.
yes, I love it.
So.
Oh yeah, we have to have those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it over.
Oh, come closer.
Oh, okay. Can you see? There it is.
Ooh. Oh, literally fail.
Yeah.
Woo.
Oh, Trésor.
Have the blue.
Oh, c'est bon.
Have like a reddish and the reddish rose or something. I'm not sure if there's any other, but there's at least those two.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
I didn't
Isn't
think
that pretty?
That's gorgeous.
and
I
didn't
love bling.
get
I
one
do
for
too.
you.
Yeah.
So
What size is
it
that?
doesn't say. And honestly, it looks a little big for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be like one size fits all.
And that's what I'm thinking because I couldn't find this unless they have a tag down on the side here. Sometimes they've been doing that.
Huh.
Yeah, look at here.
Oh, it does say one size.
Did it say that? I didn't catch that.
One size fits all.
Yeah.
So it is gonna be big, but you can put a little belt or something.
Yeah. Oh, and I bought a couple.
Yeah.
So
You can belt it, or you can even probably even like tie it to the back. Like if it's too big around.
I got like little suspender things.
Yeah. There you go.
'Cause
Cinch it
I've been-
in. Yeah.
I've been thinking, some of my clothes are getting big, so I bought cinch and
Yeah.
belts.
Yes.
So
Okay, because it looks like it'll fit me.
and when you said that, I thought, I bet that one will fit her.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm excited now. Let me get you your containers real quick.
Oh,
I'll be right back, Olivia.
Anybody in the chat want to ask anything? If there's anybody left in the chat.
Are there other people in your chat, Echo?
Yeah, I'm on live. You're live to YouTube.
Hey.
Hi, Rudy.
Well,
You enjoyed everything.
I did.
I made a roast beef last night that, just fried it and let it simmer.
Chloe's still got the bone in
Count from 0 to 100.
That's
We
Rudy.
go in tens.
Rudy likes to have us count. We're not going to count right now, Rudy.
Okay.
All right.
Next.
Okay.
I love you.
Be safe.
I might be
Although,
Valdosta tomorrow.
I
Nice
could.
talking with you, Olivia.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Well, I'm going to be at Allison's after about 4 o'clock. We're supposed to go swimming.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
So holler at me.
I will.
Okay.
Love you.
I love you too. Be careful.
Okay.
Her daughter, she lives in a town about 40 minutes the other side of my town. And her daughter lives in the town my daughter lives in, which is 20 minutes the other way. So it's like an hour drive for her to go to her daughter's. And then she usually comes by here on her way going home.
That works. That
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're really excited about going to Paris well, I want to go to Paris. She wants to go to London, but we're going to go wherever
both.
we can go when we go.
Do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We got to get our passports because neither one of us have a passport. So that's the first hurdle, to get the passport and then to start planning. We got to figure out when's the best time to go. Because I know London is rainy a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know
Yeah.
when
I know
the time to travel.
Paris is hot and humid in the summer.
In the summer. So maybe
Yeah.
more in the spring or the fall, maybe.
Yeah, depending on if you like being hot and humid or not. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I
do
mean?
know that they don't have air conditionings in all the hotels in France or in Paris.
Yeah.
So that's something
Right.
you really have to check. I follow a lady that's over there. I think she's still in France, or she might be in London right now, but she's gone for about a 9-month vacation over to a bunch of different countries. And
Is it Elder Gal?
yes, you follow her.
I love her. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I watch her.
it's like, it scares me because of the fact, like, some of her places that she stayed, have been really teeny tiny and stuff. And I'm like, I guess you can't really go by what it's, says about a place. Like when you're booking places and stuff, it may be a little deceiving on what, it is.
Probably. I don't know. I did go in 2005 as a student to Paris. Yeah. And it was I don't speak French. I took a French class while I was there, and I had a little bit of college French, but like I'm not able to speak French. And they will let you know, like, if you try to speak Spanish, if you know a few Spanish words with Spanish speaking people, they're so generous, they love it. Oh, and they'll speak with you. If you try to speak French with French speaking people, they're like, please speak English. They don't like it. They're like, so, but I think it would be good to, like, if you guys take a conversational French class together before you go. So at least you make the effort.
Or at least maybe we can understand what they're saying. Even if we can't conversate with them, we could understand what they, say or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's something polite in at least making the effort and then saying, je ne parle pas français. Like, and then they're like, okay. But they're assholes. I mean, the French are assholes, especially Parisians.
You know what? That's what a lot of people have told me, that they're not very welcoming.
They don't like Americans.
Yeah.
Not that I blame them, but yeah. So just be prepared for that. And then, of course, there's always exceptions. There's always going to be really sweet, nice people that you meet along,
Right.
But it's definitely different, because it's a huge international city. Yeah. But it was really interesting and humbling because, like, when you go grocery shopping, you're not even sure if you're picking up like dish soap or bath soap, you know, like things like that.
Yeah, I can
Well, I
see
mean, just as a non, like, I think it's good for everybody to have the experience one time in their life of being somewhere where you're the outsider
yeah,
and you don't speak the language. And it makes you a
yeah,
lot more compassionate to people when you're back home that
yeah,
are trying to speak our language or maybe don't speak our language because they weren't given the opportunity to learn. They come here to work. They're the poorest of the poor.
yeah.
And
Hey, Kayla.
Kayla, um, I'm gonna have to find so Kayla Boo, is that her channel?
Uh-huh. I'll
Okay.
put it in there.
La 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 la. I'm gonna go over to your stream, Echo,
Okay. Let
and then
me.
I can, because I've got those blue wings and I can connect with people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you do it that way. Uh,
Yeah. Switch.
oh, this is what I should do too. It's easier to do it this way. I'm over there trying to go out and go to the channel.
Yeah, I got, let's see.
There we go.
Here we go. Girl, we've been on here 2 hours.
I know. It goes
Crazy.
by so fast.
It does. Okay, let's see. I don't know why my face is so red. Feels really hot. I
Camera's
did sit outside
blurry.
earlier. Huh?
I keep being blurry. My camera's not liking this at all. But that's why people say, "Well, how long, do you do your live for?" It's like, well, depends.
How much we got to gab about.
It's like if we're
Yeah.
talking, we'll go longer. I had Mary from Blessed to Crochet on. The first time she was on, we talked for 3 hours. The second time she was on, we talked for 5 hours. We're both big talkers. So
Okay.
yeah, we were just like do, 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 do.
Okay. Here we go. Hi, Kayla.
So I have to laugh at people who are like, "Oh, I couldn't do a whole hour. I couldn't just talk for an hour." It's like, yeah, you can. Believe me, you can.
And because it'll go fast. It goes fast.
Yeah,
Like you said. Yeah.
it really does. But this has been really fun. I have enjoyed talking with you. Um, we'll do it again if you want to.
Absolutely. So are you signing off or are we signing what's happening?
Oh no, I'm ready whenever you are. I don't want to keep you too long. I don't know if you have plans. Um,
I don't know. Does anybody have any questions for me? If there's anybody left besides Kayla, I think Kayla's still
I
here.
think Kayla's here and Rudy, and let me see who's over on your side.
Okay.
Okay, Lee, it says, I'll ask my friend about England, though she might say it always rains there. Yeah, see, that's what I'm worried about. And Rudy and that Beyond the Dream, that's you, right? I don't know if I'm connected to that chant. No, I don't guess I am. I'm not. I can't do it on there. Let me go back.
Now, Beyond is someone else.
Beyond the Dream.
Yeah, that's somebody else.
Okay, let me see. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm already subscribed to them. Okay. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Oh, you know what? That is Miss Stephanie's other channel. Okay.
Beyond.
Beyond the Dream.
Subscribe. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just
Got it. I get so confused when people have got more than one channel or more than one thing, which I got a bunch of channels. I only have three that I've put content on, but I've got some other ones that they're sitting there if I ever decide to do anything with them.
yeah. It's just I just yeah, live the dream is just like it's not a channel. Like I don't do anything with it. I just, watch and comment.
I think I need to be have a channel that nobody knows who you are, and then you can, you can
Exactly.
go play
Yeah.
some play. Since I changed my name, my handle is still Living My Best Life, but the name is changed. But like if I comment on a video, it says Living My Best Life. But if I go and chat, it comes up Kaleidoscope of Happiness.
Collect.
So then I feel like I have to say, it's Echo. It's
This is
like,
me.
this is not a stranger.
Yeah.
It's me. So yeah, I have to do that. But I don't know. I didn't think about it when I named the channel when I first started. I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. And I've always wanted to change it. I just never knew what I was going to change it to. And then too, because I was 59 when I started the channel and then I turned 60, but now I'm 62. And it's like, I don't want to keep having, to add the years on there or whatever. So then I'm like, well, then some people might think if it's only people who are in their 60s, they won't want to watch. So I'm like, it needs to be
Yeah.
not necessarily a year, but
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
think it was going to
It's
be
like
that hard when I changed it. But people are like, who's this kaleidoscope person?
it's a good one. I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it too. But like I said, it just came to me because I just had been thinking for so long, well, it took me forever to come up to use the butterfly. For the longest time, I didn't have any kind of anything, like logo type thing or anything like that. And then when I finally started using the butterfly, then I was like, then when I thought about then I found out a kaleidoscope was a group of butterflies. So I was like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This is what I want to do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a group of butterflies is called a kaleidoscope.
Oh, that makes
And
perfect
then
sense. But I didn't know that.
broken pieces of colored glass is what's inside the kaleidoscope that makes the beautiful different pictures when all the pieces are together. So it's like we're the broken glass that are coming together to do the beautiful picture.
Oh, I
And
love
also,
that.
because I use the butterfly as my icon, we're all transforming into beautiful butterflies. So it
I
makes
love that. Oh
but
my
yeah, it
God.
took me forever to think of that. I was like, I wanted to change it for so long. But I really think by me having that fall and just taking some time off, it was like I could focus more on what I really, like what I really wanted to do. So yeah, I'm bad
Yeah.
about that. Sometimes I go off, like on a tangent and I don't really think about things and then it's like, oh, that wasn't probably the best thing you could have done. So I'm trying to learn that about myself too, that sometimes I do need to slow down and I do need to take time and think about things and you know I have a lot of self-esteem problems from my mom, and I I really haven't. It's like I have to get rid of her voice in my head sometimes. It's like that negative record playing over and over and over. You know.
This.
Yes.
Read this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will get it.
Or anything by John Bradshaw on family systems. Yeah. it because that stuff's deep,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
And I
And
mean, your mom is supposed to love you unconditionally, and she's supposed to protect you and support you and encourage you. And it's like my mom didn't do any of that. She
is
was,
she
and
still
I did.
alive?
Yeah, she's still alive, but I don't have anything to do with her. None of us do. There's three of us, and she's so evil that each one of us have had times with her in our life where she's so toxic. It's like you can't have her in your life, or you will be just totally miserable your entire life.
Mm,
And she's everybody thinks she's wonderful, you know. It's like nobody can understand other than the three of us because we know,
yeah,
the truth. Um,
yeah,
and a lot of people think, well, you should love your parents no matter what, and I really tried, but when she started doing some of the same stuff she did with me trying to do it to my daughter, then it was like, you might not can see it in yourself, but you can see it in other people. And it was like, that just really made me decide, no, I can't have her in my life anymore. And I mean, we still hear from her from time to time. And of course, she thinks we're all terrible people because we won't have anything to do with her. But she doesn't know how to love. She only knows how to hurt people, and um, she's very, very bad narcissist. And just, we were never allowed to be ourselves. We were like her little puppets, what she wanted to portray to the world of what our life was like, but not what our life
yeah,
really was like. So, for a lot, and I blocked a lot of it out because I think when you get hurt enough, you don't want to have to deal with that.
yeah.
And it wasn't until much later in my life that I was having problems with her, and I started talking to my sister, and my sister was like, "You don't remember, da 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 da," and I'm like, "Now that you mention that, I do kind of remember something about that." And then, the more we talked about things and all, then it was like it all came back, and then I could remember it. Um, And a lot of it was bad when my dad was alive, but it got a whole lot worse after my dad passed away because even though she lost her husband, we lost our dad. And it was like we weren't supposed to be grieving that we lost our dad. We were supposed to feel sorry for her that she lost her husband, you know? And it's like everybody grieves in their own way, and everybody should be given that room to grieve, you know? And she just doesn't. I don't know what happened or why she is the way she is because um,
Do you know anything about her parents?
I know that she was the baby of about six or seven kids, and I think there was a large age gap before they had her, and then when she was about 10 years old, they got divorced. But that's about all I really know. My dad was 17 and she was 16 when they got married, as he was going into the service. And so
That's really young.
that's really
And I
young.
know it used to be more common, but it's still really
Yeah.
young.
Well, her mom had to sign for her to be able to get married at 16,
Mm,
and she did. So,
mm.
but my dad, he lost his mom when he was 5, and then his dad got remarried, and then when he was 14, his dad killed his stepmother and then killed himself. And so he was an orphan. He had an older brother, and so he had to go and live with his older brother. And then he got in some kind of trouble, and the judge was like, you got two choices. You either do some time or you go in the military. And he was like, I'll go in the military. So he went into the army, and that was during the Korean War era.
Mm.
And so they actually moved here to Georgia for his boot or, initial training or whatever. But then whenever he went off to Korea for the war, then my mom went back home to Indiana until he got out of the service. But because he had such a bad childhood, he really wanted to have kids, and he really wanted them to have a good life. And he was a great man. And we went on vacations and, had big Christmases, and he made a big deal out of our birthdays. And he was just a
Mm.
wonderful parent. My mom, on the other hand, was horrible, but it's kind of like, as long as he was there, it kind of balanced things out, you know.
Yeah.
And then because like my brother was only 12 when he passed away. I was 18 and my sister was 20. My sister was already married and out of the house. So it was just me and my little brother. And I left as soon as I could. And then my brother was there, by himself. And he went through it with her too. And he really doesn't want anything to do with her. My sister and I, for most of our adult life, she's lived by or with one of us pretty much the whole time until like the last 10 years.
Mm.
And then we just all finally said, okay, we can't do this. But she's in contact with some of her nephews, and they'll call us up and yell at us and tell us we're terrible people. And
Oh, the flying monkeys.
yeah, and it's like, listen, you didn't take care of your folks, and we know how you treated them when they were alive. Help my mom all you want to help her. It's like, but don't try to tell us, what we need to be doing or whatever. But she will not take any responsibility for anything that has happened. And she'll write you a letter and say, I don't know why you won't talk to me. I wish you could explain to me what I did that was so terrible, blah, blah, blah. But she will not hear anything that you say. It's like we have tried so many times to explain it to her, and she won't accept it. She believes what she believes, and that's it, And I hate it because I wish I had the mother, a better mother than I had, but I didn't. So I just try to be a good mother and a good grandmother, and but my sister and I both, we struggle with it, with our decision not to have anything to do with her. And like I said, she'll call and leave you messages, or she'll send you something in the mail, or she'll have somebody else call us. And, but she says things that don't make sense. Like she said, like one time she called and said she was dying, and that she went to the hospital, and they wouldn't admit her in the hospital, and they wouldn't help her. But yet, if you go to a hospital and you're dying, they have got to do something about it. There's no way
If
that
you
they
actually, ERs,
really, she
but
was
she
never
wasn't.
dying to begin with. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
she'll say things, and because she tries to play at your heart, to make you feel sorry for her and make you feel bad that you're not, taking care of her or whatever. And we've pretty well figured out she wants to be in like a real ritzy country club kind of nursing home. She doesn't want to be in the nursing homes that she can afford on what she makes, and she expects us to pay for her to be in this nursing home. Now, my sister and her husband have always owned their own businesses, and for years they've paid for her a condo to live in. They bought her cars, they gave her money every month, So my mom is under the impression that there's all this money to be had, and that my sister should just take that money and let her be in wherever it is she wants to be. But my sister and her husband have retired, and they've got to have enough money to live their retirement, you know. And my sister's
Yeah.
like, I've done enough for her, you know. I'm not doing it. And she doesn't need anything. She's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's like it would be different if she really needed help, because she really doesn't. She just likes to have help, you know. But yet she gave her car away. The car that they bought her, she gave it to a neighbor because the neighbor didn't have a car.
Gave it away?
Gave it away. And then expected my brother-in-law to buy her another
Give
car.
her a new one.
Yeah. Because that one was getting older and it was going to have problems eventually. And so she gave it away, and now they need to buy her a new car. And my sister was like, absolutely not. You had a car, a paid for car, a car.
Yeah. That's pretty extreme. That really.
Yeah. And then like one time she called and said that where she lived, the apartment building was being condemned and she was being kicked out on the street. And they weren't giving her notice. Like she had like a week to get out and all that. And we're like, there's no, you know, that's not legal. They can't do that, you know. And
Was she making it up?
yeah, she wanted to get in this nursing home, and the nursing home was like, well, your income isn't enough, so you're going to have a family member pay the difference. And so I guess she just thought that we would just be like, okay, no problem, we'll do whatever we need to do, put you in this fancy nursing home, you know. And then her nephew, which is my cousin, he called one night and he was like, I wouldn't even put my dog in the nursing home you want her to go to. I said, I don't care what nursing home she goes to. Whatever she can afford is where she should go. That's where I'm going to go when I have to be in the nursing home. I won't have anybody to pay for my nursing home, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, but
well, the cousin is always free to help her out, I guess.
Well, see, and that's the thing. And he lives in Michigan. And we told him, take her to Michigan. Let her live with you. You think she's such a wonderful person?
See
Go
what it's
ahead.
like.
You know?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he just wants to call and tell it because he probably gets tired of hearing her say we're horrible, you know. So, of course, he thinks that we are. My brother flat out told him, don't ever call me again.
Wow.
Where at least my sister and I, we listened to what he had to say, but then we were like, this is not logical. This doesn't make any sense. And my sister's husband said, I'm not giving her any money. And he's the one with the money. You know, I have no money. I'm on a fixed income myself. You know, there's nothing I can do about it other than maybe convince my sister and her husband to help her, which I'm not going to do that because I know what they've done for her in the past. And she didn't appreciate that. You know.
Wow.
She's a piece of work. And there's nothing wrong with her medically. I mean, it's like when she lived with me, I took her to the doctor, to the same doctor I went to. The doctor did a full workup, lab work, you know, the whole 9 yards. There was nothing medically wrong with her. She was mad at the doctor. So that's a quack. They don't know what they're doing. I'm like, Mom, the tests don't lie. I mean, you know, even if the doctor's a quack, the lab that did the blood work, that didn't lie, you know.
What does she think is wrong with her?
Anything and everything. She had my sister believing that she had breast cancer, okay? She had a lump that they did a biopsy on that was not cancerous, and so she didn't have cancer. She had my sister, but she had my sister so convinced that we had breast cancer in our family that my sister was going to get tested to see if she had the gene for the breast cancer.
Yeah.
And her doctor asked some kind of question that my sister had to ask my mom. And that's when my sister found out it wasn't, it was a lie. It wasn't true. I mean, it was true she had a biopsy, but it wasn't true that she had breast cancer. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, any little thing, she's going to die because of that. You know, it's like and she's healthy as a horse. I mean, she doesn't have nothing wrong with her. Nothing.
How old is she?
She's 93.
Wow.
And
Okay. It's
her
good old life.
mind, even though she's a toxic person, her mind is completely intact, you know. I mean, she
Yeah.
doesn't have any dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that. She has no heart problems, no lung problems, no kidney problems. I mean, she has no problems other than that she's 93 years old, you know. And she would like people to believe that she's dying all the time. She's been dying for years. Um, she broke her ankle when she was 10 years old. And because she broke her ankle, in her mind, she's crippled and eventually going to have to live in a wheelchair, be, you know, confined to a wheelchair. But she isn't crippled and she doesn't have to be in a wheelchair. But if you said, you know, let's go take a walk around this park, she would say, well, I'll have to get a wheelchair. I can't walk around a park. You know, people are more sympathetic, I guess, if you're in a wheelchair. I don't know. I mean, it's like she's definitely wants everybody's sympathy and, oh, poor you know. And that's why the hospital wouldn't admit her. There's nothing wrong with her. And my cousin, like a, you know, oh, you're dying? Okay, let's go to the hospital. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. She'll do anything for, you know, try to get sympathy and try to, you know, and about I would say once every 3 months, one of us gets a phone call or a letter saying she's dying. Like, I think it was about a month ago, she called my sister and said, um, I need to redo my will because I'm dying. My sister said, you don't even need a will. You have no property. You have nothing to leave anybody. You don't need a will, you know. But she wanted my sister to pay an attorney to do a will for her. And my sister said, well, let me talk to the attorney and I'll send the money to the attorney. No, no, no. You just send me the money. And my sister was like, no, I'm not doing that. So she'll come up with any reason to try to get money, you know. And then she'll say, you know, I'm bedridden. Okay. If you're bedridden, then how are you, you know, how do you take care of yourself? Can't live alone and be bedridden. I mean, you know, somebody has to be taken care. And it's like, I know even just with my Medicare insurance that I have, I can have home health people come in and take care of me if I need that.
Yeah. With Medicare, yeah.
Yeah. And so if she was bedridden, if she was in need of care like that, she could get that care. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, but she wants us to believe that she's, you know, on her deathbed and we need to just go right there and, you know, be her loving children and love her because, you know, she's such a wonderful mother. And my sister's so funny because she'll call and she'll say, well, have you heard from her? And I'll be like, yeah, I got a letter the other day. Oh, well, I guess she didn't die then. It's like,
Oh,
no,
good.
she's never going to die. I really don't think there's nothing wrong with her for her to die. She might live to be in her hundreds.
Oh,
I,
won't that be something for you?
yeah,
Like,
I hope I can live to my 90s. That would be nice.
yeah, that's a good ripe.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, she just, you know, it's just one of those things that I'm glad that I have my sister because we kind of mother each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really sad though. It really is. But she is just so evil and so toxic. And I mean, this will make you understand it. Okay. When I got married, I was 23. So that would mean my mom is exactly 30 years older than me. So she was 53. My husband was 31. Okay. She said, too bad he's not a little bit older because she would marry him. Now, whose mother would say that
Yeah.
to you?
That's a bit. I don't know.
And then with my sister was married to a very abusive man, got divorced, met her husband now, and he had just gotten divorced. And so my mother spread a rumor that because my sister was considerably younger than him. He had two teenage daughters when they met. So I'm not sure how many years difference there is, but there's, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20-year age difference. But so my mom spread the rumor that he was having an affair with my sister, and that's what broke up his marriage. And he was already
Oh.
divorced, and my sister was already divorced whenever they met. Now, what your own mother
Yeah, that's the worst.
is going to
Yeah.
say that you
Yeah.
caused your now husband to break up with his wife. I mean, who would say that? Even if
No.
it was true. Even if it was true,
Even if it was, like,
who would say that?
you protect your yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's toxic. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, and those are just, you know,
Some
minor,
examples.
minor things that she's done. And my sister and I even sat down with her, and I mean, we had a list of things that she has done or said about us or to us. And that's another thing. I don't know how much you know about narcissists, but they don't want anybody else talking to each other because then you can compare
Yeah.
notes and then you'll find out, oh, this person's, you know. So my brother, my sister, and I, we hardly ever spoke to each other. We spoke to our mother, who then would tell us what was going on with our siblings. And so she had us believing that they didn't like us. Like I thought my sister didn't like me and that my brother didn't like me. And they
And
both
they
thought
thought the
I
same.
didn't like them and that they didn't
Yeah.
like each other. So it's kind of like I think they call it triangulation. Where,
Triangulation.
yeah,
Yeah.
where you keep people at odds with each other because then
Yeah.
they won't look at you to figure out that you're the problem, that you're the one that's causing all this animosity towards each other and everything.
Yeah.
So I was always
I'm
heavy
familiar.
set. So she always told my sister that I was the smart one, that she was the pretty one, but she wasn't very smart. And even though I wasn't very pretty, I was very smart. And so my sister didn't like me because I was smart and she was and felt like she wasn't smart. And I didn't like her because I felt like my sister thought I was ugly, which was not, none of it was true. It was just what my mother made us believe about each other. And after so long, why would I want to talk to my sister about things if I think that she doesn't like, she doesn't even like me, let alone
Oh
love me
yeah.
like a sister. Why would you even want to, you know?
Yeah. Divide and conquer.
And then
It's
you kind of come off looking crazy because several times I reached out to my sister and was like, I don't know what the problem is between us, why we don't have a relationship or a closer relationship. And my sister would be like, well, I could tell you why. You don't like this, you don't like that. And it's like, I would get mad. I would be like, why does she think those things? But I would never talk to her to be able to understand where she was coming from and what my mom had been telling her. It wasn't until we finally said, you know what, there is a problem here. And then when the three of us kids started talking, then we, figured it out. And then my mom was really, because she was always mad at one of us. So she would talk to the other two nicely and be mad at the other one. And then when she was nice with this one, she was mad at another one. It was like, it was always, somebody was always the black sheep and somebody was always bad, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oh,
Have you worked with a therapist?
I have a little bit. My sister has a lot. That's how we found out she's a narcissist, because my sister took her to try to get her help and she would not hear of it. But my sister went to therapy, to try to
Yeah.
understand what was going on. And the therapist finally told my sister, you have to go no contact if you don't want to have her keep, drudging it all up, because as soon as we would try to let things go and things would calm down, she'd start again. It was just, she lived with me for about 2.5 years. And out of the blue one day said, I'm moving out. And I was like, well, where are you going to go? And she moved into one of these, like, kind of like a senior retirement type place that had a very long waiting list. So she had been on a waiting list a long time waiting, but yet never said a word to me. And then just out of the blue left. But, and I said that was fine, if she wanted to, because she was dying then and needed help. And she wanted me to quit my job and stay home with her. And I was like, I can't afford to quit my job. I have to work, And so anyway, she, when she told me she was leaving, I said, that was fine. Go through the house, get everything that you want, anything that's yours. I don't care, take whatever you want. I don't care. And she did. And then about once a week, she would leave me a message saying, you kept my mop, or you kept a leather jacket that's mine, or, whatever it was. And I'm like, come back, get whatever it is that you think is here. And here, like, she maybe weighed 150 pounds. Here I'm weighing over 300 pounds. But yet I'm going to keep her leather jacket because it doesn't fit me. So I would take that, Didn't make any sense at all, And just all kinds of things. And then she decides to tell my brother that I have a box of his stuff and I refuse to give it to him. And I'm like, well, first of all, where would I have gotten your stuff from? We haven't even lived in the same state in 20 years. So whatever stuff, if mom had stuff of yours, mom should still have it. It wouldn't be with me. I wouldn't have your stuff, But to hear her tell it, I was holding his stuff ransom and would not let him have his stuff. And he's like, what stuff is it? It's probably stuff I don't even want. And I'm like, I don't know, because it's imaginary. There is no
Right.
stuff, And this last time she contacted my sister about the will, this was the thing. She wants a will because she wants to leave everything to my daughter. And my sister told her that Echo's daughter does not want anything that you have. So leave it to somebody who might want it, And my sister was like, I hope you don't mind that I said that, but I know that's how your daughter feels. And I'm like, oh no, I'll tell my daughter that you said that, in case my mom contacts her about it or whatever, But it's like, no, that's exactly how we both feel. We don't want anything from her. And so then my mom was mad because she wants this stuff. And my the exact thing my daughter said when it was brought up to her was, I don't want anything. There's nothing she has, nothing. And my mom said she had all this sentimental stuff that she knows my daughter would want. And it's like, no, she doesn't, you know. And you're not going to contact her. She doesn't have contact information for my daughter. I wish she didn't have it for me. I really wish she didn't have it.
Wow.
But she does. But all of her brothers and sisters have passed away. And she was the baby of the family. So they're all, they've all been gone for years and stuff. And my cousin, he's like 68, I think, 68 or 69. He should be worrying about his own retirement instead of worrying about her nonsense, But I guess he feels guilty that he didn't do right by his parents. So she's the only living relative he has, that he should, help take care of her. But of course, he likes to try
If
to.
he wants to,
That's what I told him.
you
Go
know,
ahead
yeah.
with our blessing. Go. Do whatever you want to do. Because I mean, and I know that if I talked to her, it wouldn't be long at all, and she would tell me how horrible my life is and what a horrible person I am, and you want to know what her reason was why I got divorced?
Do I want to know? I don't know.
I had 2 chihuahuas, a male and a female chihuahua, and I was going to breed them, but they didn't like each other enough to breed. So anyway, she said the reason that he probably left me was because I cared more about my dogs than I cared about him.
Oh, Echo, I'm so sorry.
I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I cared more about my dogs. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a confession. There are those people that accuse and accuse, but every accusation is a confession.
Well, she definitely does not want to take any kind of ownership for any of it. She's perfect, and we're just horrible, horrible people. But
Yeah, that
we're
sounds
all,
textbook narcissism.
yeah.
And I'm sure that it helps your sister, like that, to have learned what you're dealing with, to identify it and know what you're dealing with,
Yeah,
and
because
recognize.
we didn't know. We just thought she was like crazy. We didn't know there was like a mental problem that she had.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just will not. She just acts like, she's wonderful, and why would we turn our backs on our mother? It's just unbelievable. And I was my brother and my sister had their times with her before me. I was the last one. And my sister even said to me before I let her move in with me, she said, "Are you sure about this?" And I said, "That's my mom, Yeah, because she spent 25 years living by my sister in a different state. And so my sister was going to retire and move to Florida, and my mom didn't want to go. And so I said, well, even though it's Georgia, which is right by Florida, you've never, stayed with me or by me. Why don't you come to Georgia? Oh, perfect. So she came to Georgia. So my sister was like, are you sure you know what you're getting into? And at that time, see, I was still in denial. I still didn't know. I'm like, yeah, you've had her for 25 years. Let me have her for a little while. Oh my gosh.
I think that's a noble thing to have done, and you tried.
I tried.
Right? And so now Imagine 96 and 71 degrees. Okay.
Yes, Rudy and his numbers. But if
Okay.
I think, it took that for me to actually come to the realization of what was going on. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, my daughter was there, and like I said, she started mistreating my daughter, and that was like, no, 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 I cannot have this. And I even had called my sister and was telling my sister, and my sister's like, you don't remember how she mistreated us? And I was like, no. In my mind, I had a perfect childhood because I never thought about my mom. It was always the things that my dad did. All my good memories were with my dad. Never questioned that. Never was curious as to why you have no memories of your mom, or every memory, whether it was my mom and my dad together. It was always what my dad did that I remembered. You know, I never, I just, anything to do with her, I just totally blocked it out. Like I didn't even have a mom, which is, I guess they say how the mind protects itself, but now it's like, boy, when my sister finally started saying things, I was like, I do remember that. I do. I do remember it now. And then I was just like, oh, this has got to, and my mom was fine living with us until I told her to leave my daughter alone, until I realized that she was doing to my daughter things that she had done to me. And even though I couldn't even remember all those things, it was just like, you know that, you see
Yeah.
that, you know it.
It's in our body.
Yeah. And as soon as I did, I was like, no, you are not going to bother my daughter. You are not. And as soon as I got onto her about that, well, that's when she started making her plans to leave. But of course, she acted like everything was fine, until that place was ready. Then I'm leaving. And this is the bad part. She, before she told me she was leaving, she told me she was going to unalive herself. And then she left my house, got in her car, and I don't know where she went. I freaked out. I called my sister. My sister said, we need to call, a hotline, somebody, something that, we need to get her help. I mean, we got to find her too. We need to call the police, have them stop her vehicle or something. I was so afraid she was going to crash into somebody else, and hurt somebody
Mm,
else as well.
yeah.
So my sister called the police and called a hotline thing, and the hotline people called me, and they said that they could not, talk to her on the phone unless she agreed, that they could send somebody, there to talk to her, but she had to agree to talk to them before they would come. And so when she finally came home, I told her that, we found somebody that is going to talk to you, that'll help you if you're feeling like you want to do that. And so I called them, and she got on the phone with them and told them that I made the whole thing up, that none of that happened. And they were like, well, ma'am, we talked to your other daughter. You know, your other daughter is who initially called us, and then we called and talked to this daughter, and they wouldn't have been so upset and trying to find you help had this not happened. I mean, it was like they knew she was,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and so they wouldn't send anybody because she didn't agree to it. And then like 2 days later, she told me she was moving out. So I really think she wanted me to throw her out, maybe, for me to just say, I don't want you here if you're going to be threatening to do that, or whatever. I don't know. But I've always heard that when somebody threatens to do something, you're not supposed to ignore that. You're supposed to take them seriously,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
And I was really fearful that she would end up hurting somebody else. But you can't live with threats like that, and you know, constantly. She would do things like right before I would get ready to go to work, she would fall down and be like, "Oh, you need to call an ambulance to get me up, and you need to stay home from work and take care of me," and it's like, I can't just keep calling off work because of, it's like I'm going to lose my job.
How long did she live with you?
About 2.5 years.
The longest 2.5 years of your life?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That sounds dreadful, Echo.
And when
I'm
she
really
first when
sorry.
she first moved here, she said, "I need my own apartment. I want to be independent." Okay? Which I had a husband and a child and a full-time job. So every day she would call me, "Can you get this and bring it over?" Or, "I'm not feeling good. Will you stop by after work and check on me?" Or, whatever. And so I was always at her apartment or going there or, coming back from there. And so then she goes and she finds this big house and she's like, "Well, we can all move in this house together." And I fell for it because she had me worn out constantly running back and forth. And I was like, well, good. If she's in the same house, I won't have to do all these, you know, splitting my time and running back and forth and everything. But she would wait until I left work and then call me and have me go back to go get whatever it was. I mean, she just, anything she could do to just, you know, keep me frazzled, you know.
Yeah.
And hey, Brody, um, I don't know. And you're trying to be a loving daughter. You're trying to help your mother out. You're trying to do what, you know, and nothing, is helping matters. But when she started it on my daughter, oh, hello, Regina. Hello, hello. When she started it on my daughter, that was the last straw. It was just, I can't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
okay, here's an example of the things that were where my bad parenting had made my daughter this horrible teenager who was a straight A student who would laugh on the telephone
Hi, Brody.
at night. That was the first problem that we had, is that my mother could hear her through the wall laughing on the telephone. Because she was a well-adjusted teenager and had friends and was allowed to talk to them on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, gee, I don't think that makes me a bad parent. I mean,
Of
it was
course
just
not. No,
so, so
it's her
ridiculous,
need to, yeah.
so ridiculous. And I was raised very sheltered, and then I got out in the real world. I didn't know anything about drugs. I didn't know anything about, sexual abuse or people taking advantage of you, or I was raised in what I thought was a Christian home, and you love everybody and everybody will love you. And I had a horrible time of it trying to become an adult on my, when I moved out and everything. And so I decided with my daughter, by the time she was 18, she was going to know how to manage her own money. She was going to know all about everything that could possibly, happen. Well, did it make her grow up a little bit faster? Maybe. Maybe. Hello, Joan. Hello, Kelly girl. Hi, Star. Y'all must just got off live somewhere. And y'all coming over here.
From
Thank you. Oh,
Jones
it does say it's a
Journals.
rain. Thank you for rain.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, we need a little more company in here.
Now, this is one community, this crafting, diamond painting community. They are wonderful people. and they have accepted me into their community so graciously. And
Let me go back over.
I enjoy each and every one of them. And I know it's 9 o'clock. Big Jack is starting his live. I love that. It's a raid.
Let me go back over to before we sign off. Let me go back over to your live. Here we go. So I can connect with these guys.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Okay.
Star is the one that got me into doing the diamond painting. And now I've gotten my daughter into doing it.
What is that? Because I
It's,
hear people talk about it.
Yeah, it's like you have a canvas that has numbers or letters on it, and then you get the little like beads. They're kind of like a bead that's flat on the bottom, and it sticks on where it goes to make the
Oh,
picture.
okay.
So they have
Okay. Let's see. Star.
some of them are shiny, and there's all different kinds. But the painting, when you're finished doing it, it's like very reflective in the light. It catches the light, and they've got now where all kinds of, I've got a purse to do diamond painting on. I've got coasters. I've got Christmas ornaments. I mean, you can just about diamond paint anything. But you would think it would be very tedious, but it's very relaxing.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like paint by number, but not painting. It's, you're doing the little, I don't know what you call them. I mean, some of them are like rhinestones, or they have different even shapes to them. Depends on where you get your painting from.
And you just fill it in.
Yeah.
Like a cool.
And
yeah.
I had heard people do it, and I was going over there watching them do it, but I don't have really good eyesight, and I was like, oh, I won't be able to see it well enough to do it, And the Dollar Tree had some, and I was like, well, I'm going to get a small one from the Dollar Tree, and just try it, see if I can see it, Well, I did 3 of them from the Dollar Tree, and I was hooked. It was like,
yeah.
oh gosh. And then a bunch of them sent me a bunch of them. And then I bought a bunch of them. So now I have enough to last me for a year probably.
Oh, excellent.
But there, and just like when I started crocheting, I went and bought a bunch of yarn. It's like there's the craft, and then there's buying craft supplies is also a hobby. So it's like,
yeah, maybe I'll try it.
The stuff,
she did a canvas bag.
Doing it.
They go everywhere.
Oh my goodness. Birdie said, I woke up this morning with a diamond in my ear. They go everywhere. They do. If you drop them, they do go. Pew.
Girlfriend, I've got to go pee.
Okay.
Should I go pee and come back, or should we sign off?
No, I think I need to sign off because I need to go over there to Big Jack's, and he started at 9. So, but Thank you everybody for coming in, and
thank you,
Miss Olivia. This was not the conversation I thought we were going to have, but
hey, I'm glad you felt comfortable sharing.
I do. I do feel comfortable talking to you.
Good. Yeah. Because I mean, my story is not the same. But I mean, everybody has some trauma in there, so yes. I think sharing is really important. And I honestly can't recommend Dr. Gabor Mate enough, because he also makes connections between stored trauma in our body and chronic illness.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
Thyroid, autoimmune illness, all of it.
Yeah. I definitely need to look into all that. All right. Well, I'm going to go. because I got to go to the bathroom too. So.
Yeah, I know. We talked for 3 hours. My sister, I love you, and I'm so grateful to you. And it's
Well,
so nice to finally meet everybody here. And I'm going to connect with anybody I haven't so far.
okay.
And
And
then we'll see
anytime,
you.
any questions, anything, email me, anything, and I'll
I
get back with
will,
you.
because I might be trying to get this. And so I'm sure I'll have questions for you about Restream.
Okay, no problem. All right, everybody, I am going to go ahead and end it. So bye-bye.